Testing, are we on? Okay, very good. I'd like to welcome everyone out this evening to our regularly scheduled city council meeting. It is 6 p.m., so we are going to begin. Today is August 4th, 2025. And again, thank you for being here. We will begin this meeting with an invocation offered by Pastor Jason Gulich, I believe. I hope I got that right, of the Grace, what is that? Gulich, thank you so much from the Grace Lutheran Church. We appreciate you being here. So Pastor, if you'd please come forward. And then if everyone would please stand for the invocation and then remain standing afterwards for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. We begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, you have established civil government to be a blessing. To your mercy, then, we commend our mayor, our council, our local leaders, our justice and magistrates, and all who serve in public in any way. Keep them honest, fill them with your wisdom, and uphold them in every good deed. Through Jesus Christ, your Son, our only Savior, who has overcome death and the cross and the grave to give us everlasting life, in which we lift this invocation in this meeting. Amen.
Amen.
Have a blessed meeting, y'all.
Thank you. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you again so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time. So you have a good evening. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you'd please call the roll.
Counselor Doty?
Here.
Counselor Stodic?
Here.
Counselor Register? Here. Counselor Williams?
Here.
Counselor Allgood?
Here.
Counselor Dittenberg?
Here. Good. Thank you so much. All council members are present and accounted for. Are there any conflict of interest declarations from any members of the council regarding an item on the agenda this evening? Okay, and so with that, we do have our audience participations. We do have two people signed up. So Carmen Hernandez. So Carmen, if you want to come forward, and if you could just state your name for the record, we appreciate that, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carmen Hernandez, and I have lived in Caldwell for 19 years. My issues with Canyon Hill Irrigation District, of which I am aware that the city doesn't have jurisdiction over it. Over the past several years, we've experienced a lack of volume of water, which creates an issue for many of the families that live up on Canyon Hill. I have reached out to the water master numerous times, talked to numerous neighbors, and I'm here in representation of them as well. Due to the lack of water, it affects my ability to not just water my lawn, but water the crops that I grow to eat from. So the issue at hand is that often there are streams of water coming down the hill, and the water master doesn't respond to any of the calls, any of the concerns. And so this past summer, we went through a full month with basically no water or very limited amounts. And I'm here to see what we can do, how the city might be able to help me, what direction can we take with this issue, because it's problematic and has definitely been worse the past several years.
Yes, and we appreciate you coming and letting us know. We also, the city of Caldwell, is members of the Canyon Hill Irrigation District for the park that's down there. And obviously, we haven't had water on that either for some time. So we feel your pain as well, the people down there. I know, I know Councilor Stodic had also emailed regarding this issue this week. And Mr. McDonald, our Public Works Director, will have some information. I know he's going to have a phone call here in the near future with the board, I believe. So maybe, Rob, I'll just let you jump in.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. Are we referring to Canyon Hill or Golden Gate?
Oh,
Canyon Hill Irrigation
Canyon Hill,
District.
okay. So
which
this is
services-
Okay, so this
is a
is-
different
sorry, I
irrigation
apologize.
district than the one we've been.
so which one is Canyon Hill then?
Part of the hill is Canyon Hill Irrigation District, and the other one is, I believe, Gateway. I'm not
Or
sure.
Golden Gate?
Golden Gate,
Okay, yeah.
yes.
That's the one that we've been having all the issues with. So
We
Canyon.
have very similar issues.
Okay, and so you live up on Canyon Hill, I'm
Yes.
guessing. So this is the first that I've heard of Canyon Hill. Mr. McDonald, have you heard of any issues with the Canyon Hill Irrigation District as well?
Not recently.
And I've made numerous calls to the water master.
Okay,
And just, he doesn't respond. And when he does, it's just, well, get a different kind of hose. That's it. And it's really difficult on a very tight budget to have other bills, like to pay the city for more water when I'm already having to pay for the irrigation water. And I don't know what else to do, and that's why I came here, to see if I could get any kind of guidance.
Yeah, no, appreciate that. So if you could provide, it sounds like you have the name and the number of the water master. If you could provide that to Mr. McDonald, our Public Works Director, and then also your name and number, so then we can reach out. Like I said, we are well aware of Golden Gate. We've been working on that for some time, so it's unfortunate. It looks like we have 2 irrigation districts now within the city. And it is difficult for us because they are separate. It's like the school district, right? They have their own elected officials and things like that govern that we don't really have any control on that, but it obviously affects Caldwell citizens. So we can see what we can find out in regards to Canyon Hill irrigation as well. So if you could just, before you leave tonight, provide that information to Mr. McDonald, then he'll be able to look that up and reach out and then follow up with you as well.
And thank you for taking the time to listen to my concern.
Well, yeah, well, thank you for coming down and letting us know. We appreciate it. And so is this Mr. Tanner?
Yes.
Okay, so
Same
similar, I'm
concern.
guessing, on
Yeah.
that, so. Okay, very good. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We appreciate you taking the time.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, Justin, do you know of anything that we can do as a city to correct these type of problems and the experiences you've had?
Yeah, I don't know that there is any, but the irrigation, well, I think we should, oh my goodness. When the irrigation district is a legally separate entity, there's not much that the city can do to force their hand or, make them, they're governed separately and they have their own board of directors, and so they're a separately governed entity, so there's not much that the city can do to force them to do much. It's just working with them to try and strengthen relationships where you can, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Justin, appreciate that information. And that's all that had signed up on audience participation, so with that, we'll move into consent calendar, and I do believe we do have an amendment for that, Councilor Doty?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Motion to move item number 18 from the consent calendar to new business for further discussion.
Second.
So it's a motion from Councilor Doty, a second from Councilor, I think it was a tie, we'll give the tie to
That's all
Councilor
right,
Straddick.
anyway.
To move item number 18 from the consent calendar down to new business. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. So do we have a motion for approval of the consent calendar as amended?
So moved.
And a second? So it's a motion from Councilor Stoddick and a second from Councilor Doty for approval of the consent calendar as amended. Do we have any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. There is no old business, so that'll move us right into new business. And the first item under new business is Resolution 282-25. And I'll turn this over to Mr. Hilty, is that correct? So this is in regards to urban renewal agency item for a deteriorating area as defined by Idaho law. Mr. Hilty.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I'm appearing before you in my role as the attorney for the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency to address this issue. And I'm certainly going to defer to your city attorney to the extent that you have questions about the legality of it. It is a city council resolution, although it comes to you from the Urban Renewal Agency. And that's kind of why I'm here to present it. I did draft it, so if there's something you don't like in the resolution, don't blame Oscar. You can blame me for that. Could you pull up page 276 out of the packet? Thank you. This is what we're calling the central area, a proposed new urban renewal area, generally located between the interstate and the railroad tracks, so north of the downtown. It extends from the river and then to the east. I don't have a good landmark there, over towards the bridge and the Domes Church and that area. This is an area that has been, I think I can say for certainly all the council members, certainly all of the Urban Renewal Agency commissioners, an area that's been sort of on the radar for several years as potentially needing some revitalization, some attention, some urban renewal type activity with respect particularly to infrastructure, recreational opportunities and so forth. We've had community people give presentations, at least to the Urban Renewal Commissioners. We've had Mr. Porter, I think, gave a presentation in December to the City Council about this area generally. So what you're seeing there, the outline, it would encompass both the yellow area and the red. And it does sneak south of the tracks there a little bit into the downtown over toward the wastewater treatment plant. You'll see some of that. The distinction between the two areas, and it would be the outer boundaries that would be up for consideration. So there, I guess, on the northeasterly side would be the yellow boundary, and then the rest of it the red. The reason that we've called that out separately is that yellow area, I think, as you all know, back in 2014, there was a city council action that did declare that in need of renewal, in need of investment, in need of some local government assistance and federal dollars assistance. That was done in conjunction with the Housing Authority. And then the additional area is what is being proposed to you from the Urban Renewal Agency. I'm not going to go through Exhibit B in detail. Exhibit B are photographs that were taken in this area that sort of depict some of the blight and deterioration that is, I think, emblematic of the broader area, and the kinds of things that I think that has drawn the attention of the city, of staff, of the Urban Renewal Agency that could benefit from some attention in that area. As I mentioned, that the yellow area originally came forward in 2014 with a declaration that was different legally but substantively very similar to what you're being asked to declare tonight, that the area is blighted and in need of urban renewal activity. With Resolution 43924, just late last year, the council took a very small area that is owned by Lee Janke and approved an urban renewal or made a declaration that it was deteriorating. That process is about at its end, and I believe at the next council meeting you'll be asked to finalize that small area. But the conditions that existed and exist today on Mr. Janke's property are similar to those that are of concern and we would like to address as an urban renewal agency. The finding that you're being asked to make based on this presentation and really the photographs that we're showing you of what this area looks like would be that the area is detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, or welfare. It exhibits economic underdevelopment, and it impairs and arrests the sound growth of the municipality, and it constitutes an economic or social liability. That's quoting from the statute. Also, that the equalized assessed valuation of properties in that area are likely to increase as a result of urban renewal activity. With Caldwell's Urban Renewal Agency, I think I can tell you that has happened in virtually all of the areas that we've had to date. And that because of the condition, there is a need for the Urban Renewal Agency to function within this area. So in the broader context, creating an urban renewal area starts with a declaration by the City Council that the area needs urban renewal activity. And that's all you're doing tonight. You're not creating a new area. You're just saying that this is a good area for the Urban Renewal Agency to proceed. There will be a formal plan prepared. The plan will come back for you probably late this year to consider at a public hearing after appropriate notice to the public has been given. So you're taking step number one. You're not creating a new urban renewal area. You're just telling staff and the Urban Renewal Agency to proceed. That is somewhat underway. Roger Brooks has been working with Nexus, who's been hired by the Urban Renewal Agency to do the feasibility study. So this area is getting a lot of attention from the feasibility side. That process is underway. I think they're meeting weekly, and this is the boundary that has sort of come out of those meetings. So with that, I would ask you to pass the resolution and stand for any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hilty. Any questions from council? Councilor Stoddard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Hilty, now, so Mr. Brooks has been involved in the outline of this whole area. He knows exactly what it is, and because I know there was some question prior to this meeting relative to the Genki project, when in fact he doesn't approve of that.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Stodic, I appreciate your comments at the last urban renewal meeting. I've spoken with Mr. Jinke about that concern and asked him to reach out to Mr. Brooks. I also asked anticipating your question tonight, asked specifically about that. Now, I have not been involved in those meetings, but my understanding is that Mr. Brooks is meeting weekly with Nexus and that they have this map and that they're looking at this area. Now, whether they're focused on boundaries or whether they've moved on to like potential projects, feasibility, the increment revenue that would be available to fund projects and stuff, I don't know exactly where they're at in process, but it is my understanding they've been meeting weekly and that those meetings include Mr. Brooks.
Thank you.
Councilor Register?
I have some questions, which I'm sure you're expecting. So I had the same question about Roger Brooks, and I just wish that we had an email or a letter or something from him that says, yep, because we just spent a lot of money hiring him to do these things, and now I feel like we're rushing these urban renewals in, and I can't quite figure out why, without having him here to at least give us this idea that he's the consultant, and yes, he's on board. So that's just a statement more than anything else. But I do have a question on urban renewals. When they are typically used for, I think, commercial, industrial, that kind of thing, when they're used on private property, how does that work? Like if you have, I'm in agreement that this area could use some help, and I'm not saying that it's not, I just, once again, this is a process thing for me more than anything else. But when we get to that place, when it's residential, how does that work as far as urban renewal? There's a lot of pictures of houses, so I understand streets, lights, all that kind of stuff, but the houses are privately owned, right? So I see yards and weeds and things like that, but how does urban renewal help with that to a private owner?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilor Register, there are limitations on the expenditure of urban renewal funds on private projects. Oftentimes, a private project touches on public infrastructure. And so when we see, and Mr. Jinke's project is a good example, there's not urban renewal dollars that will go to pay for nails and materials and paint and the kinds of things that he will be working into the structures that he's going to build, the workforce housing. But when he does that kind of a development, it does trigger the need for sidewalks, some landscaping, potentially the delivery of utilities within the public right-of-way. So those things that are within the public right-of-way is really where the projects would be focused. So it's not a tool that can solve every problem that you might see in those pictures. But a lot of those, a lot of what you're seeing, those sidewalks are very dilapidated. The streets are dilapidated, and as those can be improved, there's an improvement to the quality of life there for the people that live there. And urban blight tends to be a cancer, and as it starts to exist, it can get worse. The opposite is also true. As areas start to be cleaned up, people take a little bit more pride in home ownership, and things can start to turn around there as well.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that some of the concerns and stories we've heard about some of the residents there, that they are not directly benefiting as far as like having help to fix up their own homes or properties. It's mostly the roads and things like that around there. They're not getting a check to build it. But I guess what concerns me with that then, and this is something I'm trying to work through, is that if all that work is done around and their property values go up, then their taxes go up, and they're still in the same position and now paying more taxes because of an urban renewal project is possible.
Yes,
Okay.
that is possible.
Okay. Well, for me, I just would rather, before we vote on anything like this, I would rather have Roger Brooks here or some more conversations. And then one other question, because I know this is going to come up, so we might as well just address the elephant in the room. If the Rice House is in this circle, is there any conflict with Councilor Dittenber? Is that going to be separate?
I would defer to your city attorney as to whether there's conflict of interest. The that the Rice House is a project in the east area that is now sunsetting. And so
So it's not in this,
No,
okay.
there's, and again, Council Register, you're not approving any projects or any particular plan. You're just looking, tonight, you're just looking at this area as to whether it's dilapidated.
thank you. I understand. I feel like we've done that before. And then this ball starts rolling that we can't get out of once we do that initial approval. And I was just wanting to make sure, just for everybody's benefit, that there wasn't going to be any conflict there, which sounds like there's not, before those kinds of rumors run rampant or take fire or anything like that. But, I don't know, going back to what Councilor Stoddard was talking about as well, like, I feel like we spent a lot of money on Roger Brooks, and I would just like to hear from him first.
And so typically you do have to have a financial gain personally for that kind of conflict. So, and then also, just real quick too, it's the property values may go up, but it's really your levy rate is kind of what determines that. So even if your property values go up, the levy rate ultimately determines if your taxes are going to go up or not on that.
No, I mean, we
So-
can't predict that, right? So we could be creating a problem that we just don't even know it could be there in 10 or 12 years. Again, I'm not saying that this area doesn't need some help. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying before we get into the snowball that seems to happen when we approve something that really doesn't matter in that moment, I just feel like we should get some more questions answered and have more conversations.
Councilor Doty.
I'm ready to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to approve Resolution 282-25, finding that a deteriorated and deteriorating area as defined by Idaho law exists in the corporate city limits of Caldwell, Idaho. The rehabilitation, conservation, redevelopment, or a combination thereof of such area is necessary in the interest of the public health, safety, morals, or welfare of the residents of Caldwell, Idaho. There is a need for the Urban Renewal Agency to function in such area, and said area is appropriate for an urban renewal plan.
Second.
So motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Dittenber for approval of Resolution 282-25. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, the voting is closed, and that motion passes 4 in favor, 2 in opposition. So Councilor Stoddard and Councilor Register did vote in opposition, and the other 4 council members did vote in favor. So that moves us on to action item number 2. Consider the FY 2026 tentative budget and set the public hearing date. So again, this is not approving the budget. This is only setting the public hearing date for when this will come before council to make that final approval. So with that, Raylene, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi. Yep. So in your package, you will see the final total by fund that we have for the budget, including the detail of the property taxes that I have proposed to levy for fiscal year 2026. I will definitely be going in more detail on it on August 18th at 6 p.m. in a public hearing where I invite all the public to come and attend, and definitely review the budget book that's online as well.
Okay, very good. Any questions for Raylene? Councilor Doty, did you have a question or?
Oh.
Do you have a question?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any questions, but I will make a motion that we set the calendar date for the tentative budget hearing for August 18th, 2025.
Very good. Do we have a second? Second. Motion from Councilor Dittenber and a second from Councilor Doty. And again, this is for setting for the FY 2026 budget. Public hearing date would be Monday, August 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in this room. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, voting is open. So all votes are cast, the voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. And that'll now move us into action item number 3. This is for consideration of bill number 49, ordinance 3701, amending chapter 3, article 3, section 030301 and 030303 of Caldwell City Code. Michelle?
Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm back to discuss the appointed official or appointed officer terms and redefining the term outlined in our ordinance. Do I need to go through it all again? Do you have more questions for me?
So any changes from when we had the workshop 2
Nope,
weeks ago?
it would still read the same as what I proposed at the last workshop.
Okay, very good. Then maybe we should go give questions. Is there any questions from council? Okay, I don't see any questions either, so nice and simple on that. Okay, so with that, again, this is Bill 49, Ordinance 3701 for this amendment to the chapters as noted. Any discussion from council or any motions?
Mr. Mayor?
Something to say real
Councilor
quick.
Dittenberg?
Mr. Mayor, I'll sponsor Bill number 49, ordinance number 3701, amending Chapter 3, Article 3, and amend the code as specified, and to remove the term of office for appointed officers.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, so that's a motion from Councilor Dittenberg and a second from Councilor Doty. So for discussion, Councilor Register.
I just want to reiterate that I think that lengthier terms are appropriate, but I do think that if the appointed officials are given indefinite terms, then it just mimics a manager. It doesn't create that difference, and the public transparency will be gone as far as the appointments are concerned. So,
Any other discussion? Okay, with that, then voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion does pass with 5 in favor, 1 in opposition. Council registered to vote in opposition, the other 5 council members did vote in favor. That now moves us on to item number, excuse me as I get back here, number 4 under new business. And so this is for public hearing for case Annexation 24-8, PUD 24-5, and sub 24-33. Applicant Michael Nye on behalf of Copper Pointe LLC for annexation with a zoning designation of R2, medium density residential, and then also annexation, and then for Copper Pointe subdivision, mixed-use development. Katie, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Katie Wright, Associate Planner, 205 South 6th Avenue. Before you tonight is Copper Pointe, ANN 2408 and SUB 2433. There is no PUD attached to this application. They did originally submit with it, but it is no longer necessary because they're going under the new code. And this was heard by Planning and Zoning Commission on July 9th and was recommended for approval. The project location is 8.46 acre site located on the southeast corner of Ustick Road and Florida Avenue. The site has frontage along both Florida and Ustick. The project site's currently surrounded by single-family residential to the north, commercial to the east, undeveloped land to the south, and existing and approved mixed-use development to the west. There are 9 developments within a 1-mile radius of the subject site that are either actively under construction or have been approved for entitlements. The applications before you tonight are for an annexation of 10.37 acres of land, that does include the right-of-way adjacent to the parcels, into the city of Caldwell with the R2 zone and an associated development agreement, and a preliminary plat for a mixed-use subdivision. Tonight's request consists of the applicant's proposal for the annexation with the R2 zone. The purpose of the R2 community residential zone is to provide areas by zoning procedures in accordance with the comprehensive plan that accommodate a larger variety of lot sizes and housing types. This includes missing middle housing such as triplexes, fourplexes, and small-scale multifamily or sixplexes. Supporting our secondary land uses of commercial activity and services that are generally only found at major intersections or arterial and collector roadways. And the proposed development is surrounded by R2 to the north, south, and east, commercial to the east and west, and R1 to the west, with Canyon County property in all directions. And staff finds the R2 zone is compatible zoning district next to other R2 zoned properties, along with commercial zones along Ustick, as this proposal does include commercial along Ustick, as required by city code. The comp plan place type is community center, and the proposed development is consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan, as the intent is to have commercial along that arterial roadway of Ustick and a gradual reduction in land use intensity out from the roadway. And the proposed density is in compliance with the comprehensive plan. In April 2023, the applicant submitted for an annexation with the proposed zone of R3 and a comp plan amendment from medium density to high density residential with an SUP to allow for 215 apartment units with an overall density of 25.21 dwelling units per acre. This proposal was denied by City Council due to their desire to not have a comprehensive plan amendment for the increase of density for the area. After several conversations with staff regarding the new comp plan and the new zoning code, the applicant has provided the proposal you're seeing here today. This proposal is for 128 residential units within 12 threeplexes, 5 fourplexes, and 12 sixplexes with 4 commercial lots, again, right up against Ustick. All residential uses on this site are permitted, and there are several commercial uses that would be permitted for those commercial buildings proposed along Ustick within the R2 zone. Commercial uses will be reviewed along with their respective parking and adequate landscaping at the time of building permit and business permit. The proposed development project has been analyzed for compliance with city codes and policies, and staff finds the proposed development is in compliance with all parking and landscaping requirements, all bulk standards for lot size, setbacks, frontage, and the height of buildings, all multifamily requirements such as facade, landscaping, open space, and amenities, and all other zoning and subdivision ordinances. The proposed development will have adequate site access and all utilities are available or will be available as outlined in the engineering staff report. Public agencies were notified and asked to provide comments. The agencies that responded, Nampa Highway District 1, ITD, and City of Nampa all stated they have no concerns at this time. And then the Valley View School District did not comment prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission, but staff and the applicant both reached out to Valley View to gather comments. Valley View did send over a copy of a donor agreement between the school district and the applicant, along with a letter that stated no position on the application's approval or denial. And staff received no public comments at this time. And once again, on July 9th, 2025, the Planning and Zoning Commission heard and recommended approval for the annexation and preliminary plat for Pointe. Staff recommends that if council approves the request for annexation and preliminary plat, that such requests are subject to the conditions as specified in the findings of facts, conclusions of law, and order of decision. And I stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Questions from council? Councilor Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions, and one of them isn't directly related to this site, but directly to the west of this, something's under construction there. You don't happen to know what that is, do you? It didn't come before us, and it's a commercial zone, so I'm just curious if...
Mayor and Councilor Williams, I believe what you're referring to might be Solstice. There's commercial up along Ustick.
No, that's to the east. This
No?
is the other way.
West.
Yeah.
Directly across the street?
Yes, right on the corner of Florida and Dewey No. We can come back to that.
Mayor
It
and
is-
Councilor,
It is a
am not
church, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken. Does that sound correct?
I do believe it is
I heard
owned
it
by a
right,
church.
yes. So, yeah.
Okay, and then the other question, and the developer may be able to answer this better, but looking at the elevations, which I realize are conceptual, did we not discuss when we were approving our new plans that these multifamilies would have patios or balconies that would give some private personal space? I didn't see those in those elevations, and so would they be included in the DA if this were to be approved?
Mayor and Councilor, they are proposing enclosed yard patio space for the townhome style units. And those do meet the 60 feet or greater, I believe, actually, on those ones. And then the true Plex buildings, those all will also have patios. I believe those are around 70 square feet, if I'm not mistaken. But I have touched base with the applicant on this, and they do comply with the code. Thank you.
Councilor Stoddard?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, to clear something up, so the project that's being built now be west of Florida and south of Ustick is a church? Is that correct?
Mayor and Councilor, yes, I believe that's
Okay.
correct.
And then west of that is that diesel shop, right? Where they have the trucks and the repairs and all that? That's a commercial unit. It has a Quonset type deal? West of the church I'm talking about now, not east.
Mayor and Councilor, I am not familiar with
Okay.
if that is a diesel shop. I'm not sure if Director Collins knows.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, very good. Thank you so
Thank
much. Okay, so we move into testimony. We do have a number of people signed up, so we will begin with the applicant. I'm not sure which of these names on here is, so if you are the applicant, here we are, please come forward. And if you could just, again, as you come forward, just please state your name, that way we can keep track through the record on that. So if you don't mind just stating your name, and then you'll have 10 minutes as the applicant for your presentation.
My name is Michael Nye, 4253 West Lovegood Lane, Meridian, Idaho 83646. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Michael Nye, and together with my wife Jennifer, we are the developers of Copper Pointe. Thank you for the opportunity to present our proposed mixed-use community, which we are confident is a carefully designed and well-integrated addition to the existing neighborhood. We're grateful to our city planner, Katie Wright, and the entire city staff for their detailed guidance through this process so far. As small local builders with family roots in Caldwell for over 100 years, my wife and I are deeply committed to creating neighborhoods that reflect the character and needs of Caldwell. Our goal with this infill project is not expansion, but rather to make thoughtful use of underutilized land, reinforcing the city's existing fabric and providing housing and amenities that serve our community. Tonight, we're requesting approval for the annexation of the property and the preliminary plat so that this site can be incorporated into the city's existing framework and aligned with the comprehensive plan. By bringing this property into the city, it will contribute to the local tax base and support the services and maintenance that sustain our community. Additionally, it will provide quality housing options and local commercial space, locally managed and maintained to high standards. 2 years ago, Copper Pointe was initially proposed as a higher density project. While it was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission, it was ultimately not approved by this City Council. Specifically, you identified 4 areas for our revision. 1, reduce residential density. 2, increase parking availability. 3, align with the comprehensive plan and maintain the zoning. And 4, integrate a commercial component. Considerable time and resources were allocated through 2 major revisions, including one just this year when the new comprehensive plan was adopted. We modified plans so that we could meet this new plan. And tonight we are pleased to present this revised plan that fulfills all of these requests and more. Our revised plan achieves a 41% reduction in residential density, increased parking beyond city code, including covered parking, special EV parking, and also parking for bicycles, and doubles the required amenities from 4 to 8. It also preserves the existing R2 zoning and requests no variances or waivers to any of the city code. Our community far exceeds open space requirements by over 50% and offers a variety of amenities intended to enhance daily life. These amenities align with the city's established categories: quality of life. We have a well-equipped clubhouse and fitness facility, community gathering spaces. We have shaded picnic areas and welcoming plaza near the clubhouse. Under recreation, we have a sports court, a tot lot, and a network of walking paths. And multimodal access, we have convenient EV charging stations and a dedicated bicycle repair station. Copper Pointe's mix of housing types, townhomes, 2-story flats, and 3-story walk-ups provide a wide range of options for residents already living and working in Caldwell and beyond. All of our ground floor units are designed for accessibility, helping meet the city's goals for inclusive housing that serves residents with mobility or special needs. Considering the continuing impact of a growing community on the school infrastructure, we met with the Valley View School District to discuss the impact of our project on school resources. Per their student generation rates, this project would generate 39 students to the school district in grades kindergarten through 12th over a 2-year period. The school district felt this was manageable and could fit within the future availability. Due to its convenient location near existing shopping and services, the project encourages alternate transportation such as walking and bicycling while strengthening connections within the community. In support of the city's walkable, mixed-use vision, the plan includes 10,000 square feet of neighborhood-scale commercial space, which is ideal for local businesses, services, and work-live opportunities. I've invited Mr. Jim Glancy from Glancy Rockwell Architects to come and share a bit about the design of the buildings and the site.
So hold on one second, real quick. So you're done with your
With that,
portion, correct? So you're done with your
I
portion?
just got a closing statement. I can make at any point.
Do you mind doing that first, and then we'll
Nope,
get into
not
questions,
at
then we'll
all.
bring Mr. Clancy up?
So in summary, Copper Point is designed to, number one, make efficient use of an underutilized site within the city's impact service area, to provide a range of housing options that meet current community needs, enhances neighborhood character with high-quality design and amenities, supports walkability and active living throughout its location and multimodal features, strengthens the local tax base, and provides quality employment both on a permanent and a temporary basis. 2 years ago, this council provided us with a clear roadmap. We listened closely, honored your guidance, and it brought forward a project that reflects both the city's new comprehensive plan and the council's vision for Caldwell's future. This proposal supports the city's goal of strengthening existing neighborhoods and complements the current and future land use in the immediate area. We respectfully ask for your support of the annexation and preliminary plat, and we remain committed to working closely with the city staff to ensure this project becomes a true asset to Caldwell and a valued part of our surrounding community. I thank you for your time, your consideration, and I'm open for any questions you may have.
Good, thank you. Any questions from council? Councilor Dittenber.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Mr. Nye, first of all, thank you for being a longtime Caldwell resident, and thank you for listening to what council has had to say and bring forth a good, well-thought-out plan that meets our
Thank you.
comprehensive plan. I appreciate that. But the question that I have kind of goes along with what Councilor Williams just asked a couple minutes ago with regards to private area, patio area, some place that adds character to the elevation of the building. So
Yes.
if you can't explain that, can you make sure your architect, when he comes up, can?
Sure, and the answer to your question is yes. Each of the spaces has a private area, whether it's on the second floor deck or patio or on the lower deck. And as Katie mentioned, there are spaces on the back of all of the townhomes. They're a fenced-in area for people's private use.
Any other questions? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
And I appreciate you allowing us to have you finish, and we'll bring
You
Mr.
bet. Thank you.
Glancy up. Mr. Glancy, if you could please come forward. And again, if you could just state your name just for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name's James Glancy with Glancy Rockwell Architects. My address is 1257 West River Street in Boise. And I think Michael explained the project eloquently and what we have. What I hope to do is just add to just what we did with the concept and the basic change. So I want to describe the project. As Michael stated, we've worked closely with the staff over the past year, going through the new comp plan, the new zoning ordinance, design guidelines, and so forth. So that's where we came up with 128 units, plus the commercial area along the front. I want to just briefly go through how the project evolved. We looked at our 2 access points, and we tried to go as far east and far south on the property as feasible. So you can see the access points on this diagram, and it shows our main drive going through the project. That leads us to the community center in the center of the project, and the other facilities, the townhouses, the apartments, are accessed off of secondary roads, as well as the commercial space. So the buildings themselves what I have highlighted here is what we're referring to as the townhouses. They come in 3, 4s, and 6 unit groupings. They all have private fenced-in patios on the ground outside. The bedrooms are, it's 2-bedroom units. 2 bedrooms are upstairs. The living area comes off those patios in the back. And they access, the front porch has off the parking lot with carports. So those we placed on the west side and the south side, trying to make a transition zone to the more higher density units, assuming that there could be single family to the south. So these would relate more to a single family as they're only a smaller 2-story unit. On the northwest corner by the intersection, we have 4-plex units. These are the only 3-bedroom units in the facility. They all have 70 or 80 square feet patios off the living space. These are placed on the corners, 2-story. We're trying to not have large massings at the street level. The intersection is well landscaped, and we assume that these would be screened from the street, and also the residents, the tenants, would have privacy because we have a large berm and a lot of landscaping there, so they wouldn't have the impact of the street on them either. The next grouping that we see is our 3-story 6-plex units. These are, they're all 2-bedroom. There's 2 units per floor, 3 stories high. Again, they all have patios on the back. They're a walk-up unit, and they all are into the internal side, is where we thought the developer felt too that rather have the more height and massing there. These units are abutting the common areas. We have a large landscape area that we go adjacent to those, and I'll address that next. In the front, we're showing 2 commercial buildings. There's 4 lots. We expect those to probably be professional offices, but there's allowed commercial spaces in this zone. There's 4 lots, probably 2 buildings. It could be 4, it could be 1, it could be 3, but that's left open. We'll come and work with the city staff and the design review and have those approved in the future. Well, not the future. Michael would like to have those built this time too, so those will be coming immediately along with the project. The last thing I want to address is the open space. You can see we have along Ustick and Florida, there's a lot of landscaping. We have a large bermed area that shields the tenants from the street noise, and it also encloses our project nicely. At the interior, Michael again pointed out, we have a large open grass area. We exceed the open area that's required by code. We have 2 pickleball courts. We have the community building with fitness space. We have a large community patio. So we have both the private space within the units plus a lot of common area. There's kid play areas, tot lots. We also have the bicycle repair areas along the pathway. We have electric, sorry, got off track here a little bit. We have charging stations for electric bikes as well as charging for electric cars on the site. The exteriors, this is general renderings of the exteriors. We have to go through the design review. I know there's some issues with roofs, not enough variety of roofs, and we're going to work with the staff closely, meet your new design guidelines, which are very specific, I might add, and I'm sure it's going to be just a fabulous facility for future tenants. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any questions, Councilor Stoddard?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, maybe this is for staff. Was there a traffic study done on this? Because there's going to be apartments on the, let's see, it would be the northwest corner of Ustick and South Florida, and then the Heritage Charter School is there, right? Then we have Brothers and Sisters Park on the other side, so.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councilman Stoddard, there was a traffic impact study completed for this development.
Okay, and it was well within the parameters that we have?
Yeah, it met all the, it contemplated all of the criteria that we would normally have it look at, and there was nothing that came back that was excessively out of line. It was all pretty much what we expected.
Okay, and then again, with the design of these buildings, according to what the gentleman just said, that's not exactly the end result here, so what do we do with that? I mean, without knowing what they look like, how can we approve it?
The buildings are, the footprints are nailed down. The buildings are basically complete. They have the patios. There are items such as we may change a roof pitch or add a little roof slant here or there to meet the design review guidelines. So the footprints are as we're presenting tonight. The buildings basically are complete. We're going to be using these materials. We're using stone, masonry, vertical siding, horizontal, all hardy board sidings. It's just a matter of getting the right mixture of textures, colors, and roof pitches that comply completely with your ordinance.
So other than the textures and the colors, the structures are as we see them then?
Yes, yes. With the exception, we may have some changes in roofs because currently we have, I think, 2 roof pitches and your ordinance asks for multiple. There's a variety of things within there, so we were going to work with the staff. So we look at it as it's going to be improved upon what we are presenting here now.
Okay. And I don't know what kind of formula we use for the kiddos that go to school there, but with as many units as going in, I have a big problem with 39, only 39 kids going to Valley View.
That was from the school district, so
Really?
that's not numbers that we generated. Maybe they looked at the number of bedrooms. We only have 16 3-bedroom units, so maybe they're looking at it from that station. There's
So
more
they're
two-bedrooms.
the ones that came up with the number then, you
They
didn't?
came up with a number. We didn't create that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Register?
I just had a quick question. On the rendering for the 3-story,
Yes.
is the stairwell, you said they were walk-ups, right? So is the stairwell inside?
Yes. It's an exterior stairwell, but it's interior to the building. So it's interior under the roof, so you don't see it from the exterior, but it's not you don't go through an interior door to get to the stairway.
Thank you.
So it's not shown on these renderings, but it comes up on the inside under the roof. It's not outside. And I can see on these renderings, it shows the 3 stories, particularly you see the balconies on the back, and we'd probably go with some solid enclosures on the rails. Right now we have open rails. For privacy, we've been doing some different things where we have semi-solid enclosures to create more privacy up on those upper decks.
Okay, excellent. I don't see any other questions, so thank you so
Okay.
much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have, as we go through this, a few more people signed to testify. Everybody is signed up in favor on it, so we'll just double check that as we go through, just to make sure that it wasn't a sheet miss, that maybe they did not intend to sign up on that. So if you did not mean to sign up in favor, please let us know. We'll go through those in favor first, and if there are others, we'll go back to those. So Randy, Nige, I believe, and you're in favor, is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for affording me the opportunity to offer a few words of support for this project. My wife and I have grown up here, both of us farm kids, been here our whole lives, so obviously over the last 68 years we've seen a lot of change and growth in the area. And 13 years ago I had a shift in my career, went back into agriculture, worked for a local seed company, and as all of you are very acutely aware, Canyon County is very unique in that seed operations and growing for not only for the United States but for the world. So I have concerns about the urban sprawl and how that affects our grower base, even on a personal level at work. But that having been said, I look at this project and how it makes good use of land that's sitting there doing nothing with a lot of developments already all the way around it. The church going in across the street. I see the openness of this. I see the opportunity for community development, and being a Valley View taxpayer for pretty much my entire adult life, I appreciate your concern in that regard. And I think this is, we're going to have change. We have to manage that change. And this is a great opportunity for us to manage change in a positive direction. It's not way out on the outskirts of town where we're, and I'm certainly not opposed to utilizing land that's not really farmable for bigger developments. This is a smaller development. It's a wise use. We have to house people somewhere. It's going to be a beautiful development. I've seen developments that this developer's done in the past, and they put their heart and soul into it. It's going to be a beautiful place to live. I think it's going to offer opportunities for young people just starting out, old people that want a simpler life, and a few families in between. And that might be where the school district is looking at those lower numbers for the impact on the school district. I don't think there'll be a lot of families there. No, who knows at this point? But all of that having been said, very much in support of this as a growth project for our area, as opposed to some of the outlying areas that, I had the opportunity to come in a few weeks ago and look at a couple other projects and in agreement with what you all are doing there. So I thank you for your good job there. And I know it's a difficult situation to try to manage the change that we're seeing in our area. And so I appreciate your efforts in that regard. And again, I think this would be a great asset for the community. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate that. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much for taking the time. Clark Burton had signed up in favor as well. So you'll have 3 minutes for your testimony also.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Clark Burton, and I live at 1516 Carrolltown Way in Caldwell. I've lived in the Treasure Valley my whole life, and I want to express my support for this development. And while it's difficult for many Idahoans who have been here for any length of time to see our area grow as fast as it has done, it comes with growing pains. And so my concern is wanting to see Idaho grow well, especially this area. I want it to grow well. And what stands out to me about this project is that it offers more than just housing, as we've seen, and seems to really try to add value to our community. Plans for the business locations, the recreation areas, the community locations, I think are all great examples of setting a higher bar for future development and construction of this type. I think it creates shared spaces that encourage the things we want in our community: connection, activity, and local economic growth. I think it provides a positive visual impact as well, and it's thoughtful use of the land. I think we should continue to encourage more development like this, as you guys have seemed to be doing, and to maximize the space that we have. As someone who wants to see the Treasure Valley flourish, I believe we need more thoughtful developments like this and go beyond the bare minimum and invest in the well-being and the vibrancy of our neighborhoods. I've also seen how this developer has handled other projects locally done, and it's done with care and quality, and it's a clear investment into doing things the right way. That gives me confidence that this one will be also positive for our city. And based on the presentation, it seems like they're really going above and beyond what we're asking for our city. I want to see our community grow in a healthy and an intentional way, and this feels like a good step in that direction. Thanks for letting me share. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Clark. Appreciate it. Next sign up to speak is Randy Yaden. I hope I said that right. If not, you can correct me. So Randy, you'll have 3 minutes as well for your testimony.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity. Currently, I'm at 1887 Streams Edge in Boise, but I'm a former Caldwell resident, and our family has been in Canyon County for 75, 80 years, somewhere in there. So we have a long-term interest in how Caldwell has developed and the amazing job, honestly, that this building and the surrounding area is an example of. I have also worked with Michael, the developer, here on a project over in Meridian. And we just want to say that his thoughtfulness, I know he brings, he listens to not just the requirements, but to the request and the spirit that he's trying to meet in the community. And, and so he's responsive in that planning process and thinking as to how to develop a community, what it looks like, and how it impacts the neighbors associated directly in that area, and most certainly the impact that it has on schools can be tremendous. But I do think that there's just a lot of movement, most certainly for older folks to come into these communities and find a nice place, a nice townhouse where things are kind of taken care of, and you can show up and fix a good dinner and have a good, safe community to live in, play some pickleball from time to time. So I do think that developments are changing, especially in these multifamily home areas. So I just wanted to say that I know that you will be in good hands if you allow Michael to go ahead with this and would testify on his behalf.
Thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate it. And then Roger Yaden had indicated to be in favor, but not to speak. Is that correct? Or did you want to speak? It's up to you. If you'd like to, you're more than welcome to. So, okay. So if you just come forward, and then you'll have, and it's Roger Yaden. And if you could just, take your 3 minutes. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you. As Randy, my cousin, just mentioned, our family's been in the area for quite a while, and I've had personal opportunity to build with the builder. I pastor Celebration Church in Nampa, and I was so impressed with his desire to save as a church, our efforts were all through fundraising. It's people giving their hard-earned dollars towards it. And he was able to steward the project so well that we were able to build additional things for the community in that area. Also, the project that he did in Meridian, I had trouble getting my wife to not want to move there. It was so beautiful and well thought out. But my greatest comment on this project is that as a pastor in the area, I'm pretty well acquainted with the emotional, financial, spiritual struggles of the people in the area. And one of the most common struggles I'm seeing is that we've got multi-million-dollar homes going up in the valley that Idahoans can't afford. And I've got young couples in our church that have dreams of having a place of their own. I've got elderly couples in our home that have dreams of being able to find something that they can retire quietly in. And I think this project is perfect for that sort of a situation, to meet that need that the larger homes along the lake aren't meeting. And I think it beautifies Caldwell. As a resident of Caldwell, I'm at 1515 Ellis Avenue. We've got a significant portion of our community that is old homes, as was mentioned by Mr. Hilty earlier. And I think this project will be a great addition to the area. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time.
Excuse me, sir. Just a question.
Yes, sir.
Did you have another shirt you could have worn that says God loves Caldwell?
That's great.
Good. Yeah, they had to see the shirt before they could get it. So, okay, Jolene and Nige. I hope I said that right. If I mispronounced it, please correct me on that. So if you'll come forward, and then you'll have 3 minutes as well.
Jolene M. Basabi Kanigi. We reside at 11646 Lawrence Drive, Caldwell, Idaho 83607. And I'm in support of this development because it creates community. And Mr. Hilty, I don't know if he's still here, he mentioned the well-being of our community. I grew up here a long time ago. My grandpa established our farm as Lake Lowell was being built. Our kids have grown up here. We have grandchildren, great-grandchildren. And not too long ago, my dad passed away. And I found his book, which is not this one. I got this at an estate sale. It says, Canyon County, a treasure of land and its people. And we do have a treasure here. And we want to provide opportunities for our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, me as I'm getting close to retirement. How are we going to continue well-being in our communities? And it's by building subdivisions and developments that create that connection. And I was reading in Ruby Payne's book, a framework for understanding poverty. And she says this: the key to achievement for students from poverty is in creating relationships with them. Relationships, our communities, are essential and the most significant motivator. And she quoted in her book, but this J.P. Chopin, I believe it is, locate a resilient kid and you will also find a caring adult or several who have guided him. And yesterday we were at Indian Creek, and I looked around, and there's a 3-on-3 tournament, and there's kids playing in the water, and there's people sitting. And I thought, you know what, this is the perfect example of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, creating food, connection, safety, shelter, the ability to achieve, and that all comes from creating community. And so I thank you for guiding our community and for making this a wonderful place to raise our children. And that's why I support this development. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jolene. Appreciate you taking the time. So there's nobody that's signed up in neutral, and one individual did indicate that they do wish to speak in opposition. Scott Tillman. So if you could come forward, Scott, and then you will have 3 minutes for your words as well.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Scott Tillmont, 4520 Equinox Avenue, Caldwell, Idaho. If possible, if you could bring up the map, the Google map that showed the surrounding land uses. My issue with this development is not the development. I'm glad they actually came back and listened to council. I was here when they were originally denied. To answer Mr. Stoddick's question, it is an LDS stake building that is being built on the southwest corner. That was approved back in the early teens. The shop that is the heavy equipment shop, that's up on Indiana, across from Brothers Park. So this is a block off of that, just for reference. On the map, my concern is Ustick is a 2-lane road between Indiana and Lake. Right now, just to the east of this project, there are 6 single wide homes. If you can zoom in right on the project. So there's 6 single wide homes. Literally right now, if you're not doing 40 down Ustick, you're getting run over. It's incredibly dangerous for them to get in and out of their properties. I happen to go to church that's directly across Ustick from that. It is incredibly dangerous to get in and out of that church. I've talked to Public Works. We are widening that to 5 lanes. Right now, that's probably not in the works for another 5 years. The problem is adding more to Ustick is going to kill it. And to widen this is going to take a lot in land purchase, moving those 6 properties out of the way, covering up an irrigation ditch with Pioneer Irrigation. This is not a light widening. This is going to take a lot of work to get this done. That one right there. Go back one. Go back one. If you look just to the east, you'll see there are 6 single-wide trailers. You can't get in and out of those without basically stopping Ustick. The church that's just to the north of that is Caldwell Christian Church. You can't get across the canal without basically shutting down Ustick to get onto it. It takes forever. We're just concerned with safety. My pastor's concerned with safety on this. We're just adding too much to it right now. I like the project, I just wish it was after we could widen Ustick and make this a safer area for those homes that are currently located there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. Okay, so we will go back to Michael. Mr. Nye, if you could come forward for your rebuttal, and you have 3 minutes for your closing remarks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. We understand the impact of traffic on our project. That's why we've taken and done 3 separate traffic impact studies on multiple different variations of density for the project. The latest traffic study, which we have submitted to the city, takes into account all of the existing and future expansion that is considered on Ustick and the collector that it is. So that has already been incorporated into the traffic impact study, which shows that it will not overload the project or the Ustick bound to the east, yes, to the east, beyond what that space could accommodate. The way that our design is set up, coming out of our development to the west, traffic would flow to the north out to Highway 55, and that road has already been improved, and utilities have been brought onto that. So we do understand the impact. That's why people a lot smarter than myself have studied, what the city is doing, the city's plans for expansion for future roundabouts, for making the roundabout at Ustick and Florida 2-lane roundabout, and including the expansion of the road services from that corner to Caldwell Boulevard. So that has been taken into consideration already into that design. And outside of that, I don't think I have any additional comments unless council has any questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Any questions for council? Councilor Stoddard.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Your staunch supporters talked about affordability. What kind of pricing are you going to be looking at?
Well,
just a range. I don't expect you to hold it.
At this point, probably on our 2 bedrooms, we anticipate those somewhere in the $1,400 to $1,500.
Okay. So. And next question is relative to the school district.
Yes.
Do you intend to contribute anything per door to the district at all, like other contractors?
Yes, we've entered into a development agreement with the school district for a per door value. And so we anticipate making good on that commitment. And if I can make it just a little side note on that, in our conversation with the school district, it's my understanding there have been a significant number of developers over the years that have made that commitment, and that commitment is into the millions of dollars, but they said they've only collected about $11,000 to date of that money that's been committed. And so I don't know how that would happen, but I would somehow encourage the council to, I don't know how teeth could be put into that. If that's part of the development agreement, I know it's in our development agreement, but that as developers, we follow through on the commitments that, and it's not just a commitment we make here at City Council, but as the project goes through, that we follow up and support. I'm a graduate of Valley View High School myself, so I understand the impact, and we want to be good supporters of that, and we will make sure that we follow through and and that does happen.
So can you tell us what the amount you committed to per door?
$500 a door. Yeah.
Because like I say, a lot of folks we have is 1,000 to 5,000 per door because of the location and everything, so
Yeah,
just
it
wanted you to
depends
know
on,
that.
and we, in our conversation with Mr. Palmer from the school district, he had indicated that 500 was an average of what is committed, so that's what we did.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Allgood?
Yes, sir. I just want to confirm, you're developing and building this. You're not getting this entitled and then you're going to sell it.
No, our anticipation is that we follow through on the project all the way through to the end. Of course, financing is a big thing, and we understand the impact of that because my wife and I are we're the two partners in this project, and we spent 3 years and a significant amount of money to get to this point. So we understand seeing a project through. Once we get through with city council, then we can confidently go forward with commitment on developing the plans, finalizing the plans with our architect and engineers, and going to construction. So we have a time frame that we've committed to, at least in our group, to have plans developed within the next 4 to 5 months, finalized, and that way, come late spring, early summer next year, we could be turning dirt to create this project.
So what I'm getting at is, you come here and you make a wonderful presentation, you have a lot of support, you
Yeah.
sound like a great developer. If you're building it, that makes us feel good, but if you're entitling it and then selling it, we got no idea what the quality of the next person would be.
Sure.
So that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah, so the project that we just finished in Meridian, we took it from soup to nuts. We bought the land and we developed it. We built the buildings and we sold them. So that is our process. We take it from the beginning to end, and that's our anticipation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I do not see any. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. So that's all that is signed up to speak at this, so we'll close public testimony at this time. And in regards to, yes, oh, sorry, Katie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to address a few things. The donor agreement with the school district is included in the packet, so if you have questions, you can look at it on there and it might give you some more details. And then with the roof pitch, that's just a condition that they'll have to come through at time of building permit and show a larger variety in the roof pitch based on the new code and all of the requirements. They do meet the number of materials along the facade and colors and all of those things. It was just going to be the roof pitch, that they're going to have to add a few extra things to just make it a little more interesting. And then, what was the last, sorry. Development agreement will have elevations in there, so if something were to happen, in the future that they wouldn't be able to construct this, they would have to come back through, do a development agreement modification, so those elevations and site plan and everything would have to come before you again, if it were to be changed.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so with this being, and I know that we've been kind of looking at, annexations are a little different than other requests, so what we'll do is we're going to start with the annexation, and then if that is motion to approve and that passes, then we'll move in to this subdivision request, because obviously if the annexation is not approved, then it's, everything else is kind of dead beyond that point. So at this point, we would
Mayor?
take up the annexation request. Yes. Mhm.
I thought that Katie testified at the beginning, there's not a PUD attached to this?
Mr. Mayor, Counselor, that is correct. It is just the annexation and the preliminary plat, the SUB number.
Because in our paperwork, it lists one. We
Yes.
just ignore that?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you, I
Yeah,
apologize.
oh yeah, sure. You had a question for staff?
Yeah,
Counselor Isher?
one thing I have, in your presentation, did you have a slide that shows the other developments on that street?
Yes.
Could I see that again?
Yes. Elijah, would you mind pulling that up? Thank you. Oh, sorry. Elijah, will you go back? I think 2 more. Yeah, 1 more. There we go.
Okay, let me get on, look at it closer. I just think we have another development coming up after this one to talk about at Ustick and Lake. We have a very, very big project at Ustick in Indiana on the north side. It looks like projects on the south side. I'm just sort of looking, I'm trying to see what's actually on Ustick already. Number 3 being 264 single-family homes and 164 multifamily units already. Is that not correct?
That's what it shows.
Yeah, okay. And then this development that we're talking about today, we have 70 single-family homes to the west of that. We have 251 multifamily units to the north of this property. We have, looks like 28 single-family homes just to the south, 74 townhomes to the south of that. I didn't get a chance to add it all up, obviously. But Ustick and even to the west of Indiana, there was an apartment building built there. So I don't know, that one was already, it's already done. Ustick is becoming, I want to go back to what Mr. Tillmont said. We're not going to be able to sustain all of these developments and all of the infrastructure there, period, with what we have coming. I wish we had it totaled up for the multifamilies, but I see, I mean, at least 300 or more doors just in multifamily, not including single-family homes. So just to kind of keep that in mind, plus we have another development we're going to talk about right after this in that same exact area. So I don't know how Ustick is going to handle this either, much less the schools and everything else.
Okay, so as was mentioned with this being an annexation, so we're going to take that up first. And then depending on how that motion goes, then we'll see if we move on to the subdivision. So with that, are there any motions with regard to the annexation? Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve annexation 24-8.
Very good. Do we have a second to that motion? So we do have a motion, so that is for approval of the annexation, annexation 24-8. So motion was made by Councilor Williams, and then the second was made by Councilor Doty. So do we have any discussion on that motion for approval of the annexation? Councilor Allgood.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. When I was reading this packet this weekend, I was a no vote on this. Basically, along similar lines of what Councilor Register was saying, I did add it up. And prior to this development, we have, based on staff provided numbers, 1,683 homes in a 1 mile radius that's entitled here. And so I came into this meeting as a no vote because I just feel like we need to take a pause. However, during this presentation and witness testimony and things like that, the developer has done such a great job of designing this and responding to council comments from before and making it looks just like, you know, that's why I was asking about, are you going to develop it? Because if it's like what you presented, it'll be an asset. And so I went from a no to I'm a yes vote now. I still have great reservations about the number of houses going in, the number of dwellings on Ustick. I think it's something that we've got to pay attention to. But you've put together a great package here, sir, and I thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much, Councilor. Appreciate that. Any other discussion? Okay, with that, then voting will be open this time. And again, this is for the annexation only, for approval of annexation 24-8. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion does pass. 5 in favor with 1 in opposition, so Council Register did vote no in regards to that item. So that annexation is approved. So with that, then we can move into the subdivision. So this is for Copper Point subdivision. So do we have any motions in regard to the
Mr. Mayor?
subdivision? Yes, Councilor.
Just point of order, if I may. Can
Yeah.
I move to close the public hearing?
So we actually don't need, we've been looking at this, we actually don't need motions to close public testimony. We just state it, and then when we get through, I think, everything with the subdivision, then we'll close the public hearing.
Otherwise.
So that's what the city attorney had told me, so. Arm wrestle afterwards. So, but anyway. So that's what happens when she has surgery and leaves for a couple of weeks, so we flip it on its head. Okay, so with that, so we are going to turn into the subdivision. This is for Copper Point subdivision. As presented, are there any motions in regard to the subdivision request?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor
Is
Doty.
is it item 4 now that, because we pulled the one and did the annexation first, so
Yeah.
are we reading the motion from item 4?
So it still is number 4, correct?
And then, but not including the,
Annexation,
No
just for the
PUD.
subdivision. Nor, yeah, no PUD, just for the subdivision.
okay, so I'm going to give this a shot then.
Okay.
So that, and I appreciate them doing, it's an infill project, and they've done everything that the council has asked. And so that based on the findings of facts and conclusions of law, the City of Caldwell City Council hereby orders that case number ANN 24-08, and you need the SUB as well, right?
So we actually have already approved that, so
We
it'll
already
just
done-
be the SUB number.
Just SUB 24-03. And that the applicant, Michael Nye, on behalf of Copper Point LLC for annexation, which has already been approved with a planned unit development and a preliminary plat is approved with the conditions as outlined within the staff report.
Very good. Okay, so I'm just going to
Do you need
clarify
some more
that. So I think
extra
we're
on
good.
that?
So the motion is for approval of the subdivision SUB 24-33 Copper Point subdivision. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. Do we have a second? So it's a motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Dittenber for approval of sub 24-33 Copper Point subdivision, along with the conditions as outlined in the staff report. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, we will do a roll call vote on this one.
Counselor Doty?
Yes.
Counselor Dittenber?
Yes.
Counselor Stoddick?
Yes.
Counselor Register?
No.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Allgood?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So that motion passes as well with 5 in favor and 1 in opposition. Councilor Register voting in the negative. And then, do we need a motion to close that public hearing item? We just move to the next?
You can just move to the next.
Okay, perfect. We're getting this. So we appreciate Oscar and Justin helping guide us on this new pathway. So the next is the bill and ordinance, and this is in regard to the annexation. It's always required when an annexation is approved to the city that we do have a bill and ordinance that goes in along with that annexation. So this would be just a housekeeping item for bill number 59, ordinance 3620, in regards to the approved annexation 24-8. Do we have a sponsor of this bill and ordinance? Councilor Dittenberg.
Mr. Mayor, I sponsor Bill number 59, ordinance number 3620, associated with the annexation 24-08, with request to move for its passage and approve the summary for publication.
Perfect. Do we have a second? So it's a motion from Councilor Dittenberg and a second from Councilor Doty. Again, this is for passage of Bill 59, ordinance 3620, in regards to annexation 24-8, moving for its passage by title only and approving the summary for publication. So with that, voting would be open at this time. All votes are cast, the voting is closed, and that motion passes 5 in favor and 1 in opposition, with Councilor Register voting in the negative. And that will move us into number 6, and this is for Zone 25-2 and SUP 25-11. With that, I'll just turn it right over to Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. All good. Okay, just for the record, Joe Dodson, Principal Planner here at the City of Caldwell. 205 South 6th Avenue is still where we reside here. Okay. Two applications before you tonight, ZON 25-02 and SUP 25-11 for Ustick and Lake. The rezone was held before the hearing examiner on July 16th. The hearing examiner recommended approval. The SUP before you is a council level SUP, so it came straight through the process to City Council and did not have a recommending body per the code. The subject site's location is the northwest corner of Lake and Ustick. It's approximately 1.5 acres in size. The rezone itself is approximately 2.6 acres, and that because of the right-of-way that they are also rezoning. Nearby uses include a drive-in theater to the east. The southeast corner of the intersection is some commercial, which include offices. There's a church with a private school at the southwest corner of this intersection, and then directly adjacent to the west of this site includes a commercial property along Ustick that's not operating as commercial, but it's commercially zoned, and then some county residential to the west northwest. Within this area, again, this is just a little zoomed in from what you'd seen before. There's 4 directly within that. Multiple projects, absolutely. As far as the request before you tonight, sorry, I'm just getting the wrong thing. Again, a rezone of approximately 2.6 acres from C3 to the R3 zone, and a council level SUP for the construction of an affordable multifamily project. The subject site is designated as Neighborhood 3 on the future land use map. The Neighborhood 3 place type is a primarily residential place type and anticipates a variety of denser housing options, including multifamily, townhomes, mixed use, and live-work units. Single-family homes are not typically found within this place type, but may be present in forms such as small lot development or cottage courts. More medium-level commercial may be found in this place type along major corridors and roadways. However, commercial is also not the primary focus of this place type. Apartment buildings of a variety of scales, as well as missing middle housing, is the anticipated land use types within this place type. They are supposed to offer a transition from the Neighborhood 2 place type, which would be the darker brownish to the southwest, to primarily non-residential or mixed-use areas, and help define this place type as a transitional land use. Residential developments in the Neighborhood 3 place type are permitted with a gross density of 4 to 20 units per acre, up to 25 through the density bonus program. It's important to note that the existing C3 zone is not compatible with the current comp plan it was at the time when it was rezoned, or I should say annexed previously. The proposed R3 makes it more compatible with the currently adopted comprehensive plan. It's important to note that the place types, as you can see, they transition. You have mixed use to the northeast, and then Neighborhood 3, and then along Ustick corridor to the west, you have the community center place type, and then a reduction in intensity further to the Neighborhood 2. So again, this is just transitioning from the busy corridor of Cleveland, and even in some parts from Ustick into these neighborhood areas. The proposed project is multifamily, as noted. They're proposing 35 units on 1.57 acres, which equals 22.3 units per acre, which is above that 4 to 20 range, as noted, but they are proposing affordable housing units through the density bonus program to increase their density from 20 to the 22.3. To meet the bonus criteria, they're proposing 31 of the 35 units to be deed restricted for low-income housing. Low-income, as defined in our code, is for those households making 80% of your area median income or less. And so 80% AMI, but also 75% or more of the units. So 31 of 35 is more than 75%. It's closer, I think it's 88%. So they're exceeding that requirement and therefore eligible to request that density bonus from the 20 to 22.3 units per acre. As far as zoning, as noted, they are requesting a rezone to the R3 urban residential zone. That zone is intended to provide areas that allow for multifamily, townhomes, row housing, mixed-use buildings, and live work. Single family may be present, but again would be in small lot or infill development. This zone is situated along or near major streets or corridors, such as collectors and arterials. As such is the project before you tonight. It is also generally located near pedestrian connections and commercial services. According to the zoning map, there are multiple commercial services to the east and southeast, well within walking distance. Staff does find that the proposed R3 zone, the requested R3 zone, is compatible for this location due to its comprehensive plan designation as well as the transitional land use proposed. It is also, should be mentioned that the proposed rezone is compatible with the comprehensive plan, and staff does find that the proposed development is compatible and with the comprehensive plan. As noted, the rezone is for the purpose of constructing an affordable multifamily project. This land use falls into the dwelling multifamily apartments, large scale, which is more than seven or more within a building. And that land use requires a council level SUP, which they have submitted and is before you tonight. As far as the specific plan, it has been analyzed against all code requirements. These are the only 3 areas that they're not consistent with. One being minor landscape items. It's just regarding the number of trees, essentially, that's been conditioned. The applicant's totally fine with it. Number 2 would be the off-street parking. Within their applicant response to the staff report, they provided a revised site plan that was compliant with the parking requirement of 59 parking spaces. And that was just by reducing the buffer to Lake Avenue nominally, which is an avenue that they are allowed to request administratively, and they may do so after receiving any type of approval from council. The reason why this works is because the buffer is always measured from the property line, because there's excessive right-of-way here, just because the roundabout, that just happens at roundabouts. The functional buffer is actually much larger than the 25 feet, so if they reduce it by, I believe I did the math, it's only like 12-foot reduction, they're still meeting their requirement for the buffer, so there's not a actual change in the buffer width. The last thing would be the building height. So these are their conceptual elevations. They are proposing a 3-plex building along Ustick, or sorry, 3-story building along Ustick, and then a 2-story building on the north end along Miller Lane. I cannot remember the name, I apologize. The private lane directly to the north. The 3-story units are compatible or compliant with the building height of R3, which is 45 feet. They're at 42. The 8-plex, which is the 2-story unit, is at 32 feet and 3 inches. Max height, according to the land use schedule or the dimensional standards adjacent to single family, which is to the west of this building, is 30 feet to the peak. So through this SUP, the applicant is requesting for that 2-foot variation. I am sure they could architecturally make it work and hit that 30 foot or do a flat roof and be under it. However, they are requesting to propose these elevations with that relatively short height disparity of 2 feet 3 inches above the 30 foot. As far as access to the site, it will be at the very southwest corner of the site with a shared access between the 2 parcels currently zoned commercial. So that would be the directly parcel to the west along Ustick and this parcel. Just a shared drive access that the applicant will construct and provide access to both properties in order to minimize the number of access points onto an arterial like Ustick. As far as engineering has been concerned and reviewed, that all utilities are available or will be available, and the site access is approved essentially through their engineering staff report. Outside agencies were notified, only ITD responded, and their comment was that they had no comments. Public testimony was requested, obviously, and no written testimony was provided prior to the hearing examiner hearing or this hearing. So with that, staff does want to note that within the DA for the project, as part of the rezone, we have included very specific conditions of approval that require the future development be deed restricted low-income housing for 31 of the 35 units. So should this get an approval, anything in the future would have to comply with that unless they came back and tried to do a DA modification to remove the deed restricted component of the project. So I know that there's always fears associated with, oh, we approve it as R3 and a multifamily, and they say they're deed restricted, but they're not really deed restricted. Well, through this, they have to be deed restricted, and if not, they will come back before council to request that change. So it's not something they can just willy-nilly ask for. So with that, staff does stand for any questions, and if council approves of this rezone and SUP request, that it be subject to the conditions of approval and the DA within the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order of decision. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, Joe, in the packet and just now, I want to be clear, you said that they are not meeting the parking.
Currently, with the
Regulations.
site plan that they submitted with the application, no, they're 4 short, which would be the 4 guest spaces. Code requires 59 based upon their bedroom distribution. They had 55 because of just the site.
It seemed to me that in the packet, there was a comment that they could make a minor adjustment and it would afford them to be in compliance.
That is correct.
And then the other thing I noted, and I want to be clear, the landscaping, you seem to indicate in your presentation that you're okay with them not being in compliance. And yet I think that's one of the really important things about our new code. Our landscaping has really stepped up with the berms and with the foliage and the trees. And so I'm not really okay with us not sticking to our regs for landscaping, especially the parking. And so I just wanted to be clear on that. If I could, Mr. McDonald, put you on the spot here. The Ustick roundabout there at Lake is currently 2 lanes, but 1 lane is obligated to take off as you're coming west to the north there. Is there any contemplation of making that 2 lanes through? And have you had any concerns about the traffic coming off of the boulevard with the 2 turn lanes turning to the west, and then there's that speed racer moment there where everybody's trying to get over to the left lane to go through the roundabout?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor, so all of these roundabouts on Ustick Road are designed to be expanded to a dual lane through. And so right now you have a configuration where you have a single lane circle and then you have the slip lanes on the outside, but they have been designed so that you can break out the medians and you can turn it into an actual dual roundabout and have 2 through lanes go through. That's how they've all been set up. We don't convert them to that point until we absolutely need to, because as soon as you have a dual lane roundabout, you start getting more accidents, fender benders, because people have to both stay in their lanes as they go around the circle. But that's how they're designed, and so that is a very good point. The other thing I will mention, since I have the mic for just a quick second, is the impact fees that we collect on all these developments go toward projects that we have in our capital improvement plan. And Ustick Road is one of those very major projects in our capital improvement plan. So all of the impact fees that we are collecting from these projects will go toward the widening of Ustick Road from Indiana all the way through to the boulevard. And so I just wanted to make sure that was clear, that we do have a funding mechanism for that, and it is through the impact fees that are collected through these developments.
If I could, leave your light on for another minute then, because I have a concern about what appears in the packet, that this development is so close to that roundabout on that corner, the way they're building it. Does that cause any safety concerns with as busy as Ustick is, them going through that roundabout? And you just said when we go to 2 lanes, there's the potential for more accidents. And I wonder about whether engineering has any observation about the safety of those being right on the street.
Great question, Mr. Mayor. Councilor, the roundabouts are already designed, the outside footprint of the roundabout is already designed for 2 lanes. So the outside portion of the roundabout will not be expanded when it goes to a 2-lane function. As long as the development meets the setbacks that are prescribed by planning and zoning, then they would meet all the free clear zone requirements that would normally be at an intersection. You could always have that situation, where you have someone, intoxicated that's driving excessively fast, and at that point anything could happen. But as long as they're meeting the setbacks that are prescribed by planning and zoning, then that wouldn't be a concern that we would look at normally.
Thank you.
Councilor Elgin?
Yes. Joe, I don't know if you have a perspective on this or not. Do you have any idea why this development would exit onto Lake and not onto Muffin?
Mayor, Council, Muffin is a private lane. This development has no access to that lane, at least legally. They have no cross-access agreement like the other parcels around there. So that's why they're not proposing access there. And so they'll access Ustick instead of that.
Okay, and follow-up question. There's a number of single-family residences off of that private lane.
Mm-hmm.
Was there concerns about 32-foot high buildings next to these private residences?
Councilman Allgood, council, as far as 32 feet versus single-story, single-family, I mean, that's why we have the buffer, and we included that in code. And thankfully, it's only to the peak, not to like the midpoint that we used to measure it. I mean, there's single-family homes that are that tall somehow now. But it's a concern. I mean, it's subjective in that way. I would say that they're meeting their buffer requirement, especially adjacent to those homes for sure. And you thankfully have Muffin Lane between, at the hearing examiner hearing, a landowner on Muffin Lane who might be here tonight was there to discuss, and at the time he didn't have any issues with it. And my understanding during the neighborhood meeting, which the applicant can speak to even more than myself, that they didn't have many comments about that either. So I think they were very grateful that they're not accessing Muffin and that they're pulling the building and everything away as far as they can.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Stoddard?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, again, probably for Rob, I just wanted to confirm that the buffer stipulations will still be met if and when there will be a 2-lane roundabout there, is that correct? Between this development and the circle?
Correct, Mr. Mayor, Councilor. The right-of-way, the full right-of-way has already been acquired for the roundabout, and when it was originally designed, it was designed with the expectation that it would be expanded into a dual-lane roundabout, but the outside footprint is not going to change.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
As long as, in lines with what Councilor Williams had mentioned about the landscaping, the only request that they would be making is just the width. Instead of 25 feet from property line to be whatever it is, I think it would be reduced closer to like 15. The number of trees, any berming, anything like that would still be required. So it would just be essentially a denser landscape buffer if that quells any fears for you. But again, that's mentioned within the staff report because that is an administrative level request that they're allowed to make that's in the code. So that's all. It's just one of the ways that they can comply with the parking in order to just scoot that buffer a little to the east so they can fit a little bit more asphalt into the site for parking.
And it looks like there's about 8 feet from the back of sidewalk to
Correct.
the property line, if I'm not mistaken, which would be included in
That'd
that
still be
buffer.
buffered technically, right? On the ground, you're never going to know where the property line is, right? So you'd still have that buffer area there, yes.
Perfect. Okay, any other questions for Joe? Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, so we do have 4 people signed up in favor, just one that wishes to speak. So Amanda McNutt, if you'd come forward, please. And as the applicant, you will have 10 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you. Amanda McNutt, 2929 West Navigator Drive. Oh, I can actually use this time. So this is a rezone and special use permit for, we're calling it Ustick and Lake. So I just want to point out the services and things that are in this area that could benefit this particular development as it is low income. It's in walking distance of services, including grocery stores, medical services. There's 3 or 4 churches in this area, the YMCA. There are 2 transit stops nearby, recreation, entertainment, and just kind of everything you need right in that area in walking distance. Joe did a good job covering this, but I'll talk about it a little bit more. It's currently Zone C3. This was a previous action of this, and previously it worked in this area, but now with the comp plan amendment, this zone actually does not comply. So we are choosing to come in and try to rezone that as R3, which is a compatible zone. Again, the comp plan allows densities up to 25 units per acre in this development area, which is neighborhood 3. Again, Joe did talk about this a little bit, but basically Caldwell Boulevard is kind of that high-intensity commercial use, and then everything to the southwest of that is more low-density, traditional neighborhood, that kind of stuff. And so this acts as a nice buffer between those 2 types of intensities. I just wanted to kind of grab a picture of different types of intended uses here. which is primarily high-density residential and mid-density residential. Lower and mid-density residentials are not really a permitted use anymore under the new comp plan, and commercial is not really an expectation in this zone either. Joe did mention this. We would be asking to utilize the density bonus program. Our proposal includes actually about 89% of the units as deed restricted for long-term, which is about 40 years plus, of affordable housing to be restricted here. So a few of those units would be market rate. That is to kind of support the product, and that is something that you'll see in all low-income developments. They always have at least a few to support the rest. I did want to mention as well that in your comp plan, they did a lot of research and they did a really good job at seeing what types of housing were needed in Caldwell. I am a Caldwell resident and I can attest to this. Many, many new units are needed in this affordable unit area. A lot of people cannot afford to live in Caldwell that want to be here. And these units are going to be specifically targeted toward people who want to live here and will be able to afford to live here with these unit types. Again, just kind of reiterating, the rents are going to be substantially lower than you would typically see for a high quality product like this. Rents will range from about $520 per unit to about $1,700, and that is after utilities. So that's going to serve people who are earning about $22,500 to $9,200 or $92,000 annually. Just for reference, these are firefighters, teachers, nurses, and other people in service industries and things like that that may not be able to afford to live where they work. This is a couple of different site plans that we put together that we did talk about potentially getting an access to lake because we do understand that Ustick is a high volume roadway, and we understand that there might be some concerns about that. We would love to have an access to lake, and we have worked with our engineer and make sure that we can meet all of our parking requirements with either access layout. I know 12 feet doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that 12 feet, being able to remove that out of our buffer actually made a huge impact to how our site laid out. And we did get quite a bit more parking by doing that particular change. We didn't start out with that particular layout because we didn't realize that that was something we could do. So that's kind of where that came in. We're not asking for you to approve a site access onto lake. I think that's something that needs to be traffic analyzed and verify that that's something that we could actually make work. But I just kind of wanted to get this in front of you and let you know that we are really working to make sure that this works not only for the traffic around there, but also for the residents that are going to be living there. And this is one potential avenue that we might be able to make that work. Kind of in the same aspect, if we were able to get that lake access, then people could turn right into the roundabout and head toward their services. Because as you know, down there on down there on Ustick is where the Walmart is, and then the bus stops and everything are down that direction. So it would be nice for people to just be able to go right out instead of going to the Florida roundabout, which is basically what they're going to be forced to do if we're not able to get that lake access. But again, just a lot of things that we're thinking about as we're putting our site together and trying to analyze how this might best function, not just for the residents, but everybody there. I did put together a little graphic that shows in more detail what that buffer change was, just so that you can understand we're not really reducing the buffer, it's just how the buffer is measured. So on the lake side, behind back of sidewalk, and I believe that's a 7-foot sidewalk, and something like that. So we have a pretty substantial sidewalk there, and then we have almost 22 feet before the parking lot in most areas, but all the way up to about 35 feet in some areas. So it's still going to be a pretty substantial buffer there. It's just, again, kind of how it's measured makes it a little bit awkward. But really, our architects worked on this for probably 4 months, trying to see how we could lay it out and get everything in there and make everything fit and get enough parking. So this minor change actually helped significantly to make sure that we had enough parking. As far as what is going to come along with this development, we will have several amenities. We'll have an indoor community room where there will be probably some seating and some other things in there for people to relax, a tot lot area with some play equipment, a bicycle repair station, and then there will be connected sidewalks through the entire development so that people kind of have a walking path through there. Going back to some things that are close by, again, the YMCA and Brothers Athletic Park are both near there as well. I think YMCA is a great option to have near low-income developments because they do provide a lot of programming that particularly help these types of individuals who would be living in these developments. Here's just some examples, again, kind of a tot lot on the right there, and then something like a community room, just a relaxed environment to hang out in. This is a facade that we've put together of what this architecture might look like. We've built these very similar developments that are not low income in other areas. They're architecturally pleasing, in my opinion. I think we're very thoughtful about the materials and colors and elevations that we choose to build. And I think Brighton takes a lot of pride in how things look. This is an aerial elevation, not quite as nice just because, programs don't do a great job with that. But I did want to show that that taller building is going to be along Ustick, and then the shorter building is going to be on Lake. And there is still some buffer and things behind that building. And then the tot lot's going to be kind of there on the left-hand side of that shorter building. Before I get to my conclusion, I did want to talk about the landscaping. We just haven't fully baked out our landscape design. It's just kind of the preliminary and making sure that we have enough room for everything. If anything, I would say Brighton does go above and beyond landscaping requirements in virtually everything we do. So I don't have a concern with us meeting that. I can pretty much guarantee that we plan to exceed any thing that the city would be putting on us for that. But I would say we do completely concur with all of the conditions of approval as written. And I think that this is going to be a great addition to Caldwell. As many people that you heard speak tonight said, we need communities that support residents here. And I think that this can do so. And I'll stand for any questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Any questions, Councilor Doty?
Awesome. Thank you. So you can put another exit onto Lake, but you haven't submitted that? I just want to understand what you're saying there.
We need to analyze how the traffic is going to be impacted if we were to put another access there. So our goal would to be get that other access. But if we go through a traffic impact study and they say, look, that's just too close to the intersection, or it's going to generate too many trips onto Lake, or whatever the case may be, then we wouldn't add it. So I kind of wanted to just get that in front of you so that you knew we would like it and not have to come back for a full site revision if we were going through a traffic impact study and they said, yeah, we can make that work.
Mr. Mayor, because it looks like on the map by putting that in, you're going to lose some parking spaces. Did you still make up enough parking spaces by the revision, even by losing some, if I'm looking at the map correctly?
Yeah, we actually, even in our original site plan that was submitted where it didn't show as much parking, we actually had more parking somehow with the lake access. It's just the way that the trash enclosure got placed is essentially why we ended up with more parking with adding an access. It is a little weird there. But yes, in either situation, we would meet the minimum parking requirement.
Thank you.
Perfect. Councilor Allgood?
On these apartments, how many bedrooms do you foresee for each apartment?
We'll actually have a mix. There will be 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units.
Okay, so there'll be a mix of all three.
Yep.
And following up on Councilor Doty's comment, for me personally on this project, that Lake Avenue exit is extremely important. What I foresee, if you just have one Ustick exit and people want to go east on Ustick, they're going to go right out on Ustick, make a U-turn somewhere and go back left on east on Ustick. And I think that's a poor layout. To me, we need that Lake Avenue exit so that if people want to go east, just like you have in your map in this presentation, they can jump on Lake, go around the roundabout and go east to Walmart or whatever else they wanted to go in that direction.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And again, that would definitely be our goal, is to get that lake access and make that work. If there's any way for us to do that, that's what we want to do. And it kind of to go back to your question on Muffin as well, if that hadn't have been a completely private road, it's actually not even dedicated right away or anything. It's privately owned. So it's not even shared, I think, with every single resident in there. We would have been able to use that, but it's just not an option for us.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Councilor Dittenberg?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Thank you. I've got a couple questions, and I'm going to look over to the people seated over there for either affirmative head nod or a negative head nod as you answer these questions. So the required buffer in our code, you meet the required landscaping buffer.
We meet the required buffer with that administrative level reduction.
And
Yes.
how many feet of reduction are we asking for?
12 and a half.
So we're asking to cut the buffer in half in one area.
I would say in a technical sense, that is true, that it is being reduced by half. However, because we have so much right-of-way there, and that goes back to the roundabout being, it just takes up a lot of right-of-way there. We have between 10 and 15 feet of right-of-way that will be required to landscape and maintain, even though it's actually owned in right-of-way. So we have between 22 and 35 feet of buffer behind back of sidewalk.
Okay. And then the other question that I have is, and Councilor Doty asked this question, so if you were able to turn off onto Lake Avenue, you still have enough room for the parking spaces and a privately contained dumpster?
Yes.
Okay. And that, okay. And then the final question I have, I'm looking at your apartment sizes here, and of the 35 units that you're requesting, you still intend 20 of those, more than half of them to be one-bedroom apartment, so for small families?
Let me just look behind me and let me know. Yes.
Okay. And so total overall, it looks like you have, less than 60 bedrooms in your project.
Yeah, I believe that's the case.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Mayor?
any other questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
I just wanted to help clarify because I myself was a little confused listening to all of this. So on the landscaping buffer, we require 25 feet. They've asked for a reduction, but because it's basically how you're measuring it, we require that landscape buffer to be behind the property line. We're allowing them to use the right-of-way as part of their landscape buffer, so they actually have 20 feet, give or take, of a landscape buffer. So they're really only reducing it by like 5 feet max. But when we do that, we also require them to do double the amount of shrubs and more dense landscaping to make up for that reduction. So technically, you probably won't notice it because it's going to be landscaped very well.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So as mentioned, Mindy, and I hope I get these names right, Mindy Rax, Shalane Rodriguez, and Nate Phillips had signed up in favor, but not to speak. There's nobody signed up in neutral, and there's one individual signed up in opposition, Craig Allison. So if you come forward, Craig, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your opportunity to speak as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Craig Allison. I currently reside at 16771 Abram Avenue, Caldwell. I live off of Lake Avenue. You will never find a person more passionate about transportation than myself. I spent 21 years in transportation in the military. I love it very much. I'm also the battalion safety officer for our transportation battalion. One thing I do want to point out right now is the staff needs to do a lot better job. In the 3 minutes I was here, I was able to solve their problem with the roundabout off a lake. All you need to do is right turns in and out. Just go around it. Don't need to take a left-hand turn. You don't need to do anything. Just coming down here tonight, I was going around that same roundabout and had a car trying to go west, and they came flying around, another car came around, and they almost impacted the other. So I got a photo of that, so if anybody wants to see it. But that's not the first time I've seen these things happen. It's also hard to trust your staff. A couple months ago, when we were talking about the subdivision right off the lake, I asked a question, one of these subdivisions need to be put in, you need bike lanes. We need to be looking at not your grandkids, not my grandkids, their kids. If we make a mistake in our growth, in our range, it's going to cost millions of dollars to fix these problems. We have to buy houses, take people's homes that they've lived in forever, just to fix a problem that we could have done now on it. However, when I asked, somebody standing right there said that they were putting bike lanes in. However, I have the photos after they've tore up both Homedale and Lake that no bike lanes were put in. Completely brand new roads, but no bike lanes. And there's 3 feet off a lake that they could have put asphalt down for the kids to ride bikes on. They couldn't even add off of Lake. They had a right turn lane put in. Wasn't painted. Don't know why it wasn't painted again, but cars are still using it. So why are cars using a right turn lane that's not painted? It's a safety issue. One last thing I do have to say, though, is we are the 51st fastest growing city in the country right now. We have grown by 40% in the last 2 decades. We have over 100,000 cars going down our interstate, and we now have 71,000 people in this thing. We've talked about traffic studies. But these are the same traffic studies that told us that, City of Caldwell, they only need three lanes of interstate going down the middle of our city. However, Jerome, Idaho has grown by 1% in the same time period and only has 10,000 people. They get the same amount of lanes as us. So we need to look hard at our studies and actually look at what is on the road. Studies are all great, but until you get eyes on the road, you have no idea what is really happening. I actually bought a dash cam that can show you all the traffic that's on these roads, going down Middleton every single morning. Hey, traffic plan said in 2016 it was only supposed to be 2 lanes, but, I got more cars stacked up from the boulevard to the interstate. With that, my time's up, and I stand for any questions.
Okay. Appreciate you being here, the opportunity. I would stand with our staff. I believe we have incredible staff, and if you do have issues or concerns, I would invite you to come down. We can meet privately and talk about those issues, but I would stand by our staff and the incredible job that they do. Any questions from council? Okay, thank you. Appreciate you being here. With that, Amanda, so you would have 3 minutes to provide wrap-up testimony.
Thank you. One thing I'll say is I do agree staff has been doing an incredible job. I have had the privilege to work with Joe Dotson, not only on this project, but in a professional way earlier in my career. We worked together at Meridian. This isn't an easy job. It isn't an easy thing to do. He has been phenomenal at getting us questions answered. The code has been changing a lot, as you all know, which can make things difficult as you're going through an application. You have deadlines you have to meet with the LIHTC funding and things like that. So we had very tight deadlines that we needed to meet, and they did absolutely amazing getting us what we needed, getting our questions answered, getting us through all these code changes and making sure that we could come here prepared. And yeah, just an incredible job. But the other thing I will say is I actually live extremely close to this development area. I live just off of Midway. And I do understand that there's a lot of traffic there. I live there. I drive past this all the time. And I know that there may be concerns with traffic, but until development happens, you can't pay to make any of those changes. That is how the city works. We all know it. The impact fees that you gather from these developments is what's going to help to sustain those roadways, those other infrastructure needs, and ultimately create a better situation out there. So, thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you. Question?
No, Mr. Mayor, just a comment. If this project were to be approved, I would suggest that perhaps Brighton consider some decorative boulders as part of the landscaping on that corner, just for safety. Just a suggestion.
I did see the accident that the church had happen. Again, I live right by here, so yes, decorative boulders, we can do that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank you.
that. As mentioned, that's everybody that's signed up, so we'll close public testimony at this point. This one's a little unique too, or this I think is one of the first SUPs to come before council. And so, again, we have the zoning request, the rezone request, and then also, if that is approved, then the SUP request for the multifamily, if I'm not mistaken, in that regard. So I think we will follow suit from the one previous as one relies on the other. So we would look at the zoning request first, and dependent on how that goes would dictate if we move to the SUP request. So in regards to zone 25-2, I would entertain any motions from council regarding that request for the rezone. Again, this is from C3 commercial service to R3 high density residential. Councilor Dittenberg.
Based upon the findings of fact and the conclusions of law, I move that we approve case number zoning 25-02, the applicant Brighton Corporation on behalf of LME Group. And is that it? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to read anything else.
Okay,
All right.
very good. So that is a motion. Again, this is for the rezone request, zone 25-2, rezoning the prop 1.57 acres approximately from C3 commercial service to R3 high density residential. So that's a motion for approval of the rezone request. Do we have a second? So it's a motion from Councilor Dittenberg and a second from Councilor Allgood for approval of the rezone request. Discussion on that motion. Okay, I do not
I
see.
have one question.
Yeah.
So we don't have any statements from the people that live right in there? They didn't make any statements or?
Not that I'm aware of. So obviously they are not here this evening. Do not speak up or sign up to speak on that.
Mr. Mayor, that's correct. They did not provide any comment, except at the hearing examiner, one of the gentlemen who, he said he owns 2 homes on Muffin Lane, and all he was concerned about was them not accessing Muffin Lane, and that they were going to do fencing and landscaping. And
But you didn't hear from anybody in opposition about this project?
No, ma'am.
Right there in that corner?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or any discussion on that motion? Okay, and I know that we're gonna have to do a voice or a roll call, I think, after this. So, but if we could open up the voting at this time for the rezone. This is again for approval of zone 25-2. So voting is open. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed. And that motion passes with 5 in favor and 1 in opposition. Councilor Williams, I believe I'm going to put my glasses on to make sure. So Councilor Williams did vote in opposition, the other 5 council members in favor of the rezone request. So with that, rezone has been approved. Then that would move us into the SUP request. This is SUP 25-11. Again, the special use permit is for the multifamily affordable housing development with 35 residential units. And then also in that would include the requirement for 31 of the 35 to be for affordable housing, low income, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, Mayor and Council.
Okay, perfect, excellent. So with that, do we have any motions in regard to that SUP request? Councilor Dittenberg.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to try to get this as straight as I can without messing it up under this new format. But I'll make a motion that we approve SUP 25-11 for the approval of 35 units of deed restricted affordable housing. And with a single condition that staff assist the developer in making sure that there is an access off of Lake Avenue so that we can make a right-hand turn into the roundabout. And that's it. I think I've said everything I need to say.
Okay, very good. So that's a motion.
Is that
for-
correct?
I think that's correct, except that I guess the council can decide if the condition is what they want.
Oh, and the
thrown into it.
conditions in the staff report. All right.
Very good. So that's a motion for approval of SUP 25-11 in regards to the 35 residential units with the conditions as outlined by staff, and then also the additional one of investigating the possibility of an additional access onto Lake Avenue.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilor Doty.
just a little discussion. Can we make that a requirement if it comes back? Not just if they want to put it in on Lake, but if the study says they can put it on Lake and one on Ustick, that they will do both?
Yes, is that correct
Would
on
you
that?
be,
So that,
do that? And then I just want to ensure that all the parking spots that are required within ordinance are fulfilled.
correct. Okay, very good. So is that a second? by
I will
chance?
now, a second,
Okay.
as long as Councilor Dittenberg's good with what I
Okay,
said.
very good. So that's a motion from Councilor Denver, the second from Councilor Doty, with those conditions as detailed and outlined by the discussion. So with that, any discussion on that motion? Councilor Allgood?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I don't know, I like the motion made by Councilor Dittenberg, but I'm, if there's not a second exit onto Lake, I'm a no. I don't know how to word that, or maybe
good
I'm a
with that.
no on this, period, unless we know that, I mean, if it comes back and they say there's no way to put a second exit on the lake, I just can't live with a single right out onto Ustick being the only exit for 35 apartments. And so, I don't know how to, maybe I'm just a no and we can deal with this
We can,
later. But I want to be assured that we're going to have a lake exit.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And I concur with that. So if we need to do a modification of some sort,
And we could do that, modify, do you want to start over with a new motion or modify the amended?
I think at this stage, you might be better off getting a new motion just to make it clean on what would be. So I think, I think Councilwoman Register might have something to say on this one too, but potentially a denial of this motion if the council wanted to consider another motion just to keep things clean on what is exactly being asked and wanted.
Could you do a withdrawal of it, or would you want to go through with a vote on that, or?
Is the clerk fine with the withdrawal? Yes, with the clerk's permission, I think that would be acceptable, yes.
Mr. Mayor, I withdraw my motion.
Okay, very good. So that motion is withdrawn. And is there a new motion that you want to put in?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a new motion. I, based upon the findings of fact and conclusion of law, I make a motion that we approve SUP 25-11, the applicant Brighton Corporation, and with the specific condition that there is an access onto Lake Avenue, and with all the other recommendations by staff.
Very good. So is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, so motion from Councilor Dittenberg and a second from Councilor Allgood for approval of SUP 25-11. Again, that's for the 35 residential units with that additional condition that an additional access onto Lake Avenue is required for this approval. In discussion, Councilor Register.
Yes, so I'm torn on this one because the only reason why is because I believe that housing prices are astronomical, and to be able to provide something for our community, our kids, that might be more attainable for them to live is important to me. However, I don't like to do the like until we know thing. I don't know why we can't wait until we're sure that they can have an exit off of Lake. I think we also didn't see anything about landscaping, right? Just a guarantee that you guys would do a good job. I think, and so that kind of is bothersome a little bit when that's become a really big thing, and we just approved 128 more doors on top of the 1,683 doors that Councilor Allgood totaled up. So I just think that with as pact is we're going to be on Ustick. We need to make sure that those other things are absolutely solid before we do any of this. And personally, I'd like to see some of these apartment buildings come in and see what it looks like with 1,600 plus new doors before we continue to approve more in a small area.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, so with that, then we'll do a roll call vote. Again, the motion is for approval of SUP 25-11.
Counselor Dittenber?
Yes.
Counselor Allgood?
Yes.
Counselor Doty?
Yes.
Counselor Stodic?
Yes.
Counselor Register?
No.
Counselor Williams?
No.
Okay, so that motion does pass with 4 in favor and 2 in opposition. So that now moves us into action item number 7. This is for, again, the housekeeping ordinance, bill and ordinance for the rezone request. This is for Bill 38, Ordinance 3690, to effectuate the approved rezone, Zone 25-2, with a request to move for its passage by title only and approving the summary for publication. So do we have a sponsor of this bill and ordinance? Councilor
Can we say so moved?
Doty.
You said it all, I think.
That'll
You want me to
work.
repeat it all?
I think you're good.
So moved.
Okay, do a second? That's a motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Dittenber for passage of Bill 38, Ordinance 3690 by title only and approving the summary for publication. So with that, the voting is open at this time. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed. And that motion passes with 4 in favor and 2 in opposition. Councilor Register and Councilor William in the negative, and the other 4 council members voting in the positive. And that'll move us into the item that was removed from the consent calendar and placed on the new business. So we'd say 7B. And this is for a resolution authorizing the execution of a subrecipient agreement between City of Caldwell and Community Resources, Inc. for a CDBG in the amount of $400,000. Robin, are you covering this one? Perfect. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Robin Collins, Community Development Director. This item is for a subrecipient agreement for Community Resources, Inc. This is for the project that you just heard at Ustick and Lake. They are asking for CDBG grant funds to help with the acquisition of the land, because that's the only thing CDBG can pay for on an affordable housing project. They can't pay for construction, so we can help with acquisition. They are applying for low-income housing tax credits as well to make this project work and be affordable. In the subrecipient agreement, we are restricting 31 of the 35 units to low-income persons and households. We're also restricting the rent rates that they can charge for those units, and we're restricting them for a minimum of 8 years. And so I will stand for any questions you might have.
Councilor Dittenber.
Mr. Mayor, Robin, thank you. Just so everyone knows and for the record, I asked this to be pulled from the agenda. And the reason why is it was procedural issue for me. I didn't want to give somebody the ability to purchase land that the council hadn't approved. Because then you would have land that we would have no say over because we hadn't approved anything. So this was more a formal thing for me. So if I understand correctly, the developer is using low-income housing tax credit, and I'm not sure whether or not they got their 5% or their 9%. I would suspect that the CDBG is their local match that's required to match the program to make it cash flow. So the fact that you're deed restricting it for 8 years is secondary to the federal restriction for 15 years.
That's correct.
You have to have a 15-year report on a minimum 40-year period of affordability. Is that correct? All right.
Yes. Mayor and Council, that is correct. I wasn't sure on the 15 years, but yes, that is correct. And the reason we chose 8 years is because that's how long grants, CDBG grant funds are, before you lose them, is 8 years. So we just went with that 8-year mark because it made sense.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, very good. Thank you so much on that. So with that, This resolution is before council for any motions. Councilor Dittenber.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 280-25, authorizing the execution of a subrecipient agreement between the City of Caldwell and Community Resources, Inc. for community development block grants in the amount of $400,000.
Do we have a second? Second. So it's a motion from Councilor Dittenber and a second from Councilor Doty for approval of the resolution. Do we have this on the, okay, so we do have this. So with that, any discussion on that motion? So with that, voting is open. And all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that motion passes with 5 in favor, 1 in opposition. Councilor Williams voting in the negative, and the other 5 council members voting in the affirmative. That'll move us to action item number 8, public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comments on the CDBG 2025 Annual Action Plan. Robin.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Robin Collins, Community Development Director. We had a workshop the last meeting, I believe, and we went through some of this, but as part of the public hearing, I'm going to go through this again with a little bit of additions for you. I'll try to make it quick so we're not here a long time. So basically, the primary objective of the CDBG program is to create viable communities, principally for low and moderate income persons through decent housing, creating a suitable living environment, and expanded economic opportunities. And low to moderate income is those households or persons making 80% or less of the area median income. So as part of the CDBG, we are required to do a 5-year consolidated plan that lists all the activities we seek to do over that 5-year period. It also addresses community needs, priorities, proposed activities, resources. This is the last year of our 5-year plan, so we will be beginning that research and that building of that 5-year plan, which we expect to take probably the next 12 months to do. As part of that consolidated plan, you have to submit an annual action plan every year to HUD. It has to be submitted, this says August 15th, it's actually August 16th. And it must contain what your planned uses are for your funding allocations. It has to discuss your past performances, and you have to have citizen participation in those activities before you put them in your plan. So just a little look at past performances with CDBG funds from last year and the year before. We have 26 new affordable housing units that are completed. They were rented in less than 30 days, provided housing for 63 persons, with 44% of them earning less than 30% of the area median income. So it captured that really low gap that we have in our community, which was a good use of the funds. We will have 10 new affordable homeowner units completed this year. We'll complete 15 to 20 homeowner rehabilitation projects. This is where these are owned by the homeowner, their houses, they could be mobile homes as well, and this is where they need rehabilitation, mostly like handicap ramps or grab bars and stuff like that in the house to create that suitable living environment. And then we will have assisted 81 low to moderate income persons and 27 households through just our public services activities. So citizen participation, we opened up the public comment period from June 23rd to June 24th, gave people the opportunity to comment on the plan. The public comment period was advertised in the local newspaper in both English and Spanish. The draft plan was put on our website for people to review with a comment card on there as well. It was also placed at the Caldwell Library for people to read, and comment cards were placed there as well. We sent out a survey and emails to 14 different public and nonprofit agencies. Those were public agencies, schools, nonprofit organizations, and other entitlement communities. We received really good feedback on the survey, and I'll show you some of those results here in a minute. We had the public workshop, which was held July 21st. That was also advertised in the local newspaper, both in English and Spanish, and on the website. And then we have our public hearing today for the purpose of taking additional public comments, which was also advertised in the local newspaper in English and Spanish and also put on the city's website.
And before you do go,
Yeah.
just for clarification, for anybody that's listening, for the record, because I think you said June 23rd to June 24th. It was actually June 23rd to July 24th.
Sorry.
Just so people
Yes.
know, it was more than
You're
one
right.
day
It was
if
for
they're
30
listening,
days.
so-
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
Appreciate that. So as far as public comments, we have received no public comments from the general public. We did receive responses to our emails and surveys from several agencies and nonprofits. This is just a few of them that you'll see. We did get some from Caldwell and Valley View. We got some from Caldwell Housing Authority, the Idaho Food Bank, IHFA, House Idaho Collaborative, Advocates Against Family Violence, City of Nampa. So this is just a few of them. It was a really broad survey for lots of different folks that do different things, provide different resources for our community or for the Treasure Valley. One of the reasons we do this is to find out what the need is still in our community, but we also want to see what services are being provided in other communities to see, because we don't want to try to duplicate services that are too close to us, but we want to fill that gap as well, where we have gaps in services, or like say they have something that we can build upon. So that's why we check with other communities as well. So one of the questions that we did ask was for them to rank housing needs in Caldwell. Affordable rental housing ranked number 1, affordable homeownership housing ranked number 2, and housing for seniors, affordable housing for seniors ranked number 3. And then it went down from there. As far as economic development needs, we did ask if they felt a business facade improvement program is necessary in the community in qualified areas. We were really talking about areas like maybe downtown, again, and almost 80% of the people that responded to it said yes, they feel like we definitely need to bring that back. It used to be, I think, handled by urban renewal at the time that urban renewal was over downtown. So I think as we move forward with our next 5-year consolidated plan, we'll probably look at something like this with the CDBG funds to help kind of give some relief to people that want to do their exterior facades in downtown and help beautify that area. We asked about community service needs and asked them to rank them from highest to lowest. Child care services came in at the top with mental health services, emergency rental payment assistance, senior services and programs, youth services, and then food security and food pantry services. We also asked them to tell us what they felt was the highest and best use of CDBG funds in Caldwell for low to moderate income persons. Number 1, again, ranked construction of affordable rental units. Number 2 was services for homeless persons. Number 3 was case management and other services. So case management kind of goes along with like either homeless or people that are having trouble paying their rent for eviction. It helps get them back on track and sustain that. So they help give them counseling and that type of stuff. The next was services for senior citizens, childcare, health and wellness, home buyer down payment assistance, public facilities like shelters, and then housing rehabilitation or critical repairs. So based on the comments we've received and the data from our 5-year consolidated plan, we've come up with some goals. We know what the priority needs are. We went through those earlier on decent housing, suitable living environment, and expand opportunities for LMI persons. So we came up with 5 plan goals for this next year's annual action plan. The first goal being acquisition and disposition, so helping with acquisition of land, clearance activities to support the creation of new affordable rental and homeowner housing, which is what you just approved through a subrecipient agreement. So this is going to tie right into our action plan for this coming year as well. Number 2 is public facilities and improvements. This is primarily for publicly owned facilities and infrastructure or buildings owned by nonprofits that are open to the public. This can be anything from sidewalks and ADA ramps to parking lot lighting to street lighting to ADA improvements, to playground equipment, neighborhood facilities, homeless shelters, domestic violence. There's a whole list of stuff that goes into public facilities and improvements that can benefit the entire community as a whole. The next goal is public services. We are capped at 15%, so whatever our annual allocation is, we can only spend 15% on public services. This is where you'll have like homeless services, emergency rental assistant, the child care services, senior service programs. And so we'll look, as we get applicants in, we'll look at how we can diversify those services that we have or create some new services that aren't already available. The next goal is housing. This has a whole list of things you can do under that too. You have your housing critical repairs. This is for homeowners that live in a house. They are low to moderate income. They have critical repairs, like we have one right now that has submitted an application where their private sewer line has failed on them and they need to replace that sewer line and they do not have the income. It is a single mother with a child who is low to moderate income, so they've applied for CDBG assistance. We have a down payment and closing cost assistance where we can pay up to 50% for low to moderate income, housing rehabilitation, lead-based paint testing or abatement, and there's some other ones that come under this as well. General administration and planning, this is for your CDBG person that we hire at the city to administer the program. It also helps fund some surveys or reports that we need to move forward on projects, depending on what they are. However, we are capped at 20%, again, of whatever the entitlement is. So usually when we budget for this, some of it comes out of CDBG and the rest of that money comes out of the community development budget. So our anticipated funding this year is $464,994. We are up $25,000 from last year, which is good because we weren't sure if we were even going to get CDBG funding, so this is good news. So the projects that we're looking at is putting in about $93,000 for program administration, the $400,000 for acquisition and disposition, $600,000 for public facilities and infrastructure, a little over $69,000 for public services, and $65,000 for housing-related activities. This funding includes the proposed HUD allocation for this year, but also prior year resources. So next steps is to have the public comment period and incorporate any of those comments from the public hearing into the plan. Council acceptance of the plan and authorization to submit to HUD. We would then submit the plan along with our application for federal assistance to HUD prior to August 16th. We would gain approval of our annual action plan by HUD. We would sign a grant agreement with them. We would receive our funding, and then our new year would start October 1st. And I will stand for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Councilor Stoddard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Robin, do you foresee any federal problems with this deal at all, as far as restrictions or anything like that?
Sure. Mayor and Councilman Stoddard, we did originally, when we were hearing things about grant funds and stuff. So we had really close communication with HUD, and they did have some layoffs, so they've lost some people. But they have assured us that at least moving forward for this next grant year, that they feel very strongly and that we will be funded at least this next year. Now, what the next year brings, we'll have to just wait and see.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions? Councilor Dittenberg.
Robin, if you could go back 2 slides. Okay, so I want to chat about this a little bit.
Sure.
And so when we talk about this CDBG funding and the plan that we're putting together, do you already have knowledge or have you heard whisperings of projects that are coming down the pike? I mean, in the housing development field, and I've been in it for a long time, we know we talk about it 3 or 4 or even 5 years before we actually ask for the money. So do we know that there are people waiting in the wings for the acquisition disposition funds?
So Mayor and Councilman Dittenberg, we do, because the $400,000 we have in here is the $400,000 you just approved in a resolution. Because that is our project, because they're applying for program year 25 funding. So, and that agreement was contingent upon, it still is contingent upon this action plan getting approved by HUD and us getting the federal dollars. When it comes to public facilities and infrastructure, we have had a lot of discussions internally about needs within even our own city as far as like the Caldwell Senior Center needing some handicap accessibility improvements, some parks improvements. We've talked about some street lighting that's needed in downtown, but also on the north side. So we have a lot of projects that we're discussing that we know have great needs. Same thing with housing. We know that we have some projects that want to come in and ask for like down payment assistance for some affordable housing to get low to moderate income persons into permanent housing. So yes, generally, at least we do now. I think in the past, we might not have had that because we didn't open up our CDBG application early enough. We would wait and not open it up until it got close to October 1. But we have, between Raylan and myself, we have transitioned where we do like what other communities are doing. We're opening up our grant application for October early in the year so that we can see what the need is and the people that are going to apply for grant funds, as well as get that agency feedback. So yes, we feel comfortable in what we've budgeted here, that there is a great need in these areas in the amounts that we have put in there.
So one other question is and this is CDBG low-hanging fruit, and that is giving money to subrecipients who help with homeless prevention or who help with that. And so where is that in here? If I'm looking for your homeless prevention funds and your down payment assistance, what category is that in here?
So the down payment assistance comes under housing. So it's called home ownership direct assistance. Okay. The homelessness prevention and services for like emergency rental payments and those types of things, that comes under public services, which it's hard, right? Because we know probably one of the next biggest things besides affordable housing that we need in this area is homeless services and stuff, programs for them, but we're limited to 15% cap. Now, we also can do, like, say if there was like a shelter wanting to be built or something like that, we can use acquisition and disposition. And we've budgeted $400,000 now because that's what the project is that we know we had, but there will still be money left in CDBG that we're not showing here for those projects that we don't know about at this time. Does that help? Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, I do not see any. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome. Thank you.
And there is nobody that is signed up to speak on this matter. So with that, then we will close the public hearing on this action plan, and that'll move us right into action item number 9, which is considering the resolution, Resolution 283-25 for the submission of the CDBG 2025 Annual Action Plan. So with that, do we have any motions in regards to this resolution from the council? Councilor
I'll make
Doty.
it, Mr. Mayor. It looks like it follows the plan right and the goals set forth and meets the federal requirements. So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 283-25, authorizing the submission of the Community Development Block Grant 2025 Annual Action Plan to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Second.
So we have a motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Dittenber for approval of Resolution 283-25. Yes.
Sorry. Can we also include in there and authorizing the execution of the grant agreement upon HUD approval and of the plan and receipt of grant agreement?
Sure.
Just to make sure we have that as part of that.
Okay.
Thank
And that's
you.
regards to that last approval, correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, vote of that amendment on that. So again, so that's amended to include that with the motion from Councilor Doty and the agreed upon amendment from seconder, which was Councilor Dittenber, again for this resolution 283-25. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, so with that, voting is open at this time. All votes are cast, the voting is closed, and that motion passes unanimously. And that'll move us now into action item number 10, which is the finance report. Councilor Allgood.
I move that accounts payable in the amount of $3,943,581.44, represented by check numbers 187219 through 187610, and electronic payments and payroll in the amount of $821,614.84, represented by check numbers 40033 through 40056, and direct deposits be accepted, payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Do we have a second? Motion from Counselor Allgood and a second from Counselor Stodic for approval of or acceptance of the finance report. All those in favor say aye. That motion passes. That moves us into council comments, and tonight we're going to begin with Counselor Allgood. This gives Counselor Williams the last say. So.
Catch me off guard, Williams.
Keep you on your toes, yeah.
I was listening to AM radio today, I hate to admit that, and there was a long op-ed on the animal shelter and paying for the animal shelter. Where are we at on that, or are we still?
Great question. We're going to discuss that here in just a little bit.
Okay.
Get
That's
you lots of good information.
Thank you.
So. Counselor Dittenber.
I just appreciate the people who have lived here in Caldwell coming in here saying nice things about Caldwell. Caldwell's a remarkable place. Caldwell's a great place, and I appreciate everything council is doing. I appreciate the staff of the city and the hard work that you do. And thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Counselor Doty.
Just a reminder, it looks like August 7th is the ribbon cutting for CNR Rodeo, so I just want to give that shout out.
It's at 4 p.m., is that right?
4 p.m. is what I have in my calendar 3 times somehow. So I'm going to go with 4 p.m. on August 7th. Thank you.
Okay. Counselor Stodic.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think both of you, or all of you remind or know that I sent an email about our box seats, and maybe we ought to think about donating them to the less fortunate. If you're interested, let me know, because I've talked to Mrs. Geyer this evening, and she has an avenue to do that, so let me know. Thank you.
Counselor Register. And Counselor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an observation. I was downtown Caldwell on Saturday night about 10:15, and there still was no place to park, and there were people walking on the streets, and the restaurants were full, and people were still on the plaza, and the city is just bustling. It is so neat to see this city vibrant and with this livelihood, and just can't say enough good about Caldwell, and thankful for all the things going on that support that and make that possible. And we have a great city, and just want to keep talking good about it.
Good. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate those great comments. Seeing as we're going to go into executive session, I will bypass any comments. Just say appreciate everyone being here this evening, taking part, and for the great feedback and the great information that was given, and for our wonderful staff. And so with that, Counselor Doty.
Make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code 74206B to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, Idaho Code 74206D, to consider records that are exempt from disclosure as provided.
We're good. Do we have a second? So it's a motion from Counselor Doty and a second from Counselor Stodic to go into executive session for the reasons as listed in the motion. Do you need a roll call? So we'll do a roll call vote.
Counselor Doty.
Yes.
Counselor Stodic.
Yes.
Counselor Register. Yes. Counselor Williams.
Yes.
Counselor Allgood.
Yes.
Counselor Dittenberg.
That motion passes unanimously, and that means we are moving into executive session. So again, thank you to everyone for being here this evening. We'll excuse you at this time, and